It is time.
It's time.
It's time.
It's time. It's time.
It is time.
It's the Money Show.
The Money Show.
The Money Show. The Money Show.
The Money Show.
Makodem Mandi Igbo. Let the conversation begin.
Welcome to the Money Show. Makodem Mandi Igbo. Afam Buchuka. Ayaputasia. Ayemeka iseme. Ankato de Mandi Igbo. Alright, Makoganiru. Thank you for joining us very early. I can see a lot of people here, more than we usually have at the beginning. And the mind doesn't know it now. I like that. If you can hear my voice, show me a sign. Let me see your emoji or anything at all that will show me that you are here. If I have sent you an invite, please accept so you can join me quickly. So that I brought someone and they will go. How are you guys doing? I hope you had a very beautiful and productive week. We're going to have a very great time tonight. Oh, well, for other time zones all day, for the morning itself. Oh, when they good morning. I don't have like I'll say good morning. Anyway, today we are supposed to have one or two guests who will join us on this show as we have this beautiful, important conversation about Umwaka and education. Last week we were talking about kids, parenting, raising kids, the future, the next generation, and preparing them for the future that we desire. How to raise them right, the challenges we are facing in the changing times and all that. So tonight's conversation is a continuation of that, in the sense that tonight it was how to shape them from the perspective of formal education. Informal in terms of home training and all that. But tonight I need formal education, how to equip them, how to build them for the future, to be able to compete amongst others, their peers, globally, not just in Nigeria. Somebody really fast, and I think it was Chino Achebe that said that the average Igbo man thinks it's enterprise. If 18 million inside us, we have it in our DNA to be productive, resourceful, resilient, and creative people. Man, you cannot have truly great people if you don't educate their minds, if you don't equip them with the skills that they need to be able to function effectively and efficiently in the society. That's where education comes in, and education, anybody who understands development in any society, in any country, in any state or region, understands that the most important element of development, the most important factor of development is the people. Because even nations that are not very wealthy in terms of mineral resources have been known to achieve so much success and development. Financial, economic success, economic development in their country, even without mineral resources, because there is investment. High level, they prioritize investing in their most important resource, which is the human resource. And like they say, whatever that is worth doing is worth doing well. I always add this to that. I say, whatever that is worth doing well is worth starting early. Anytime you see greatness that is outstanding, that is phenomenal, look very well. This greatness, look at people in sports, look at people in science, look at people in tech, look at people in music, in creative arts. A lot of the people who are truly famous, there's a difference between fame and greatness. People who are truly great, like outstanding, globally known, world famous, in their story, you will always see that the preparation started very, very early. Like when you have 3 years old or 5 years old or 7 years old. Not just bolo mad, but a great person, And that's why education is very important. Because if you give a child education, you have already given them an edge. You've already given them an advantage. So that is the most important conversation ekwesịrị na-enwe as ndị Igbo when we're talking about development. I know if I bịara ikwu today. Casey nwanne odogwu na Canada. Pụtasịa.
My brother, kedu kwanu keke me?
Ọ dị nnọọ mma. Anyị na ya.
Na ya pụtago. Ndị be anyị ana m ekene. Good evening or good morning or good afternoon, depending on where you're joining us from. But man, every Saturday I put on no kai pankata. We discuss important things about where we come from, about our people, about our aspirations, about things affecting us. So nketa no quality education, which I think is very imperative. What they know important, what they kana pankata about the future of the young ones. And not just the young ones, even the older ones that want to sharpen their brains, the direction I need as a people, and how important conversations like this they know. So without further ado, Chuka Biko, Kana Ganiro, let's move forward.
Dalo one them. Dalo Kisi we that if you could Kisi stretch here, it reminds me of the days I don't know what on how Egolako na Southeast.
I'm on Onitsha, so I go my Onitsha on the basic level. Then see here I move by River State, na Port Kanguzi, Alco formally, but secondary and all of that. Yeah, so my time na Southeast did not very little, no Onitsha. Eba mom, but other than that, yeah, mainly na South. Kangla.
So there is O2ness inside you. It ain't very cool you two at all. Maybe you spend it up to 5 years there. Because I can do to say Poku. Guess a buchalom mother self enough.
Yeah.
If I can I say, man. Go see a Poku.
Yeah, God adorable no call. In there, open no for the intonation or the no no. Yeah, you have to just identify it.
Oh no, they call ndị Ajibo otu ka nyanwa bụ. Ndị atọ na GRA.
Yeah.
Oh, dị egwu. Ndị be anyị, we would like to have a very broad and open conversation regarding this. Ka anyị si eme, maka anyị si eme now, anyị nwere omenala ebe a. As it's customary here, once you join this conversation, go ahead and just click on the share button and share this space or retweet it, share with people in your DM and on your WhatsApp. Every Saturday, 8 p.m. This is the MONI show. That's the acronym. This is where we come and have a conversation about Igbo. Share ideas, rub minds, find solutions to our collective challenges. I guess we're now wine. Not just guys now individuals, but collectively. When the society is surviving, that's when the individuals will survive, And that's why we're having this conversation today about education. This is the 22nd episode of this show. We do it every Saturday, 8 p.m. until 10 or sometimes 11, depends on how the conversation is going. If it demands more time, and you will more time, we're banging here. And I'm freedom, even though there has been protests, like Peter Obi says, even in my house, there's protests. There's been protests on this show in the comment section now. And you can't please everybody. I keep saying it here that this is a conversation that was designed to feature everybody. It was designed to feature everybody. When I say everybody, I mean every Igbo person. Mamologena Nigeria, Mamologena New Jersey, Mamologena London, Mamologena China, Manegobonye Japan, Nagabolo Nigeria, Manegobonye Jamaica, Nagabolo onye Igbo. And the only way we can do that successfully is to give people the freedom to speak in the language they can, especially Igbo or English. Manobo no koroge na Igbo is one English. Obukwa na English adros English na ichi Igbo ko Igbo imago chikota sia ya chikota ina asu Igbo ina asu Oyibo nka na akpo English Igbo ka mo asi eme. You can also do that. The most important thing ka na wato wine while we're having the conversation and what can make a meaningful make a lot of meaning may find them makoko word. And tonight I would ask that we follow our rules very, very judiciously because I can manage time, and you know our ground rules. Number one, once you request the mic and receive the invitation, once you have the mic, stay on mute. Second, when you are to speak, Biko, go straight to the point. Number three, stick to the conversation. Don't take us to another thing altogether. The game. Let's be disciplined. If the nine and the topic I need to discuss, if you do anything at all. I just came in now. I'm just okay. Can you sometimes people do that sort of thing, you know. And then the last one, avoid noisy environments so that we don't get interrupted when you're talking, you know. So we can have a smooth, beautiful conversation. Tonight we're having two guests actually. One is not here yet. He's going to come in here later. He's having some interruption with his trip, so he's not able to land early to join us. That is Alex Onya, who will join us later. But right now we already have the other guests, who is very, very, very special to Ifeanyi Mena Bania. I'm gonna invite her to join conversation as we have sent her the requests to grab the mic. She's by the name Uche Onwamebu. She's an erudite educator, actually. She has done quite a lot. She has invested years, energy, resources into investing in young people, especially kids, regarding education. She's a STEM education advocate, mentor, speaker, girls champion. You know, she's been around. She's done all sorts of things. And now, Bania, we want to have a very deep conversation, broad conversation about what she does in Igbo regarding STEM, especially STEM education, because this is one aspect of education that has not been touched a lot in Nigeria. I can remember we go to schools about a roof over the kids, where you have desks, where they don't have to sit on the floor, where you have quality teachers and good chalkboards, not chalkboards anymore, whiteboards, and you know, have an enabling environment, convenient environment that enhance learning for kids. I can go to level, but then we're going to go ahead of the curve. People like this lady that I'm talking about. By the time she comes to join us in the conversation, you will understand what I'm saying. She's already making inroads into the kids that will be able to compete in the near future regarding tech, especially, and science, you know. So I'm asking her to come on, send to the request, Uchenna, so you can join us in this conversation. You break things down about what we can do in the Southeast, starting from what you are doing already. And then they say way challenges, you know, and see how we can contribute as individuals and as a collective also. Now that we are beginning to make efforts to come together, to collaborate, to build together, to do something that can make a lot of impacts because of collective effort. Okay, this is easy to identify what people are doing and have guidance from them, professional guidance from them about how we can go about, you know, developing whatever sector, whatever area that requires development in our society and in our land. All right. Uche, you can now unmute your mic. Welcome to the conversation. Uchenna.
Hello, everyone. Good evening.
Good evening. Good evening. How are you doing?
I just came back. I'm tired, but I cannot, be out of this since I've promised I'll be here. So I'm so happy that I made it home on time.
So happy. When I saw you on the space, I said, "Oh, thank God! After everything, she made it. Thank you for the sacrifice. I know it's not easy for you to. It hasn't been easy for you to be able to make it to this space, to this conversation. But we're very grateful that you did, in spite of all the challenges. You're welcome.
Thank you. Where you call Igbo, I have to. And then negotiate.
Yes. If you found the other day when I was having a conversation with, I think we were having a particular conversation, and people were talking about Uche Anambra first son, and what he does. And I said something there. I said that if one is not just about passion, it's a burden, and that's exactly what I sense from what you just said now. You're doing this not out of convenience, but it has to be done.
Yes,
it has to be done. Okay, let's start with this. Let's start with what you do in your I forgot to say that she's the founder and the CEO of EduFund. So let's start from EduFund. What is EduFund and what do you do in EduFund?
Okay. So EduFund Technique is a space where we try to raise talents. Basically, where we bring young minds together to teach them or expose them to technology and the careers that comes with technology and how they can leverage on those careers now and in the future. So a ga-akpọkene ya a space ga-abụ nwa gị bịa ma ọ bụ onye ọbụla bịa without any knowledge or confusion about what technology is all about. You'll be able to get that knowledge. Then what I know is that we go to schools. I started way back, I would say 10 years ago. We go to schools and bring those technology to them. For example, I been at school. Unu enwere computer, I enwe computer, I bulu computer sitting from our office to your school and create content and curriculum that will enable those children to adapt to technology. Because for schools, I'm trying to simplify what we are doing. We just bring technology to the doorstep of young people in Anambra State, Southeast, and all over Nigeria, the ones we can work with. So that's what we do. Then for the youths, because people think we work only with children, we work with youth, we work with adults, we work with teachers. With teachers, we do train the trainers, where we train them to integrate technology in the classroom. We work with Ndegosigo Secondary School. We work with university students, surprisingly, because Naigakwa University in Nigeria make computer science, Aburokwa that I may use a computer. So we work with them and help them do mentorship and lead them to a good career path where they will focus on something they will have to do. So that is what we basically do, bringing technology to the doorsteps of schools, students, home, youths, and to create an economic viable career perspective for them and something they can use to help themselves in the future.
That's very precise. You may give her for a long time. If I may ask, this very school, is it like a normal school that have a normal calendar or off calendar course?
No, Odiroka. So it depends on the aspect. When you are coming to us to the hub, we have our own content and curriculum that we use. When we are going to schools, we create this curriculum for them to use. We have staffs that we use that teaches what that is. So, when we talk about technology, okay, let me answer your question before diving into what I mean. So it doesn't have a normal curriculum because the normal curriculum we use in school doesn't include technology and the careers that comes with it.
All right, I understand that. I wonder why I'm having feedback.
You wouldn't be a hellback. So when you want to speak, just mute our mic.
Okay.
Not the mic, you get chuka, but I think once you mute her, you'll be fine.
Okay. All right. So, can I break here down a little bit? This and fields, right? I'm gonna take it very broad, right? And when AI, and when Java, and when all kinds of areas that people venture into when it comes to tech. Could you give us some insight into the areas, the subjects, or the courses that you offer in those schools where you go and provide these courses, or even in your own hub?
Okay, so let me start from the content we have for primary school children. The idea for me is, when I started this program, what led me to start was me seeing young children working on electronics, robots, and trying to build things. And it got me confused, like, if this is part of a school system, why is it not happening in Nigeria? Why is it, this thing looks like rich people's thing, why? And then I had two girls, so I was wondering, if my girls are not getting this, if me as a mother, I didn't get them in school, and my girls are not getting them, I might have been in a different world. So that was what inspired me to start. And when I started, I was thinking, is how do you get a common man to lay their hands on this kind of education, And I now devised a means to bring it to school. So it's actually called a mobile lab. So in primary school, we look at their content. In primary school, they teach biology, maths, and other sciences. But we are trying to integrate STEM skills. So the STEM skills we are trying to integrate is, I hope you are still hearing me, because I don't know.
Oh, yes. I can hear you very clearly.
Okay.
We can hear you very clearly. We can hear you.
Okay. So the STEM skills we are trying to integrate is bringing, so STEM is not a subject. So I want to explain, bringing contents together. For example, let me say in primary school, we look at primary one and we bring in knowledge of engineering that can inspire them to do some things. So to build, to have a collaborative spirit, to have a tech spirit, to have a problem solving spirit, and to understand the concept of what they use around them. How does it integrate to their schoolwork? So this is how we divide the curriculum. So we have STEM engineering, STEM robotics, STEM environment that does with climate change. Then we focus on the science aspect of it too. But all these things are not the theory based, they are hands-on. Then we have the core computer science. How do you start getting children to learn how to develop softwares or how to use computer itself, because using computer is a skill on its own. Then you advance to building softwares or teaching them how to code. However, I used to tell people that teaching people how to code is just a foundation, because in teaching you how to code, you are able to learn how to read, learn how to learn, because coding actually enables you to think hard or to think differently or to think smartly. So it's a holistic way of teaching, where from one step or the other. We also have STEM AI. In AI, for those in primary school, they start learning about machine learning and with face recognition, even before the ChatGPT AI started coming out. So we've been doing that in school for over 8 years. So it's different. You need the basics for you to be able to decide if I'm going to do this about tech, if I'm going to go into coding, if I'm going to go into machine learning, if I'm going into AI. We just give you all the basics that will make you make that choice. However, for the adults who have decided I'm going to do a particular tech field, we also give you that leverage to intermediate and to the advanced level.
If I found it very surprising to me. Like, so it's possible for a baby, like I call them babies anyway, a 3, 5, 7 years old is a baby, that they're able to learn this thing. Anyone afar is a big deal, like AI, robotics. I didn't know that was possible until I saw what people like you are doing.
No, it's very possible. That's why people also get confused. Like, they were sure if it's very possible. It's just that people don't understand how it's happening.
If you were to advise the governor of your state, Governor, okay, let me start with this. How do you feel about what the state government needs to do regarding this, regarding STEM, what you might call smart education? What do you think the Anambra State needs to do as in building on top of what the foundation Peter Obi already laid when he was the governor of the state? Because I know he upgraded the entire education infrastructure in Anambra State to a large extent, to the point that they became number one in Nigeria. So what do you think? I don't know how much the governors after him have been able to sustain that, but I think it's time to move to the next level. And you have already become a pioneer, a front liner on that. What do you think that needs to come in? Or how do you think it needs to be introduced to the schools? Do you think it's possible, sir, in the first place?
Well, let me be as honest as possible. I think it's possible. I think it's a little bit technical. It's not just as easy as it sounds. Remember that the state has a lot of schools. They need to have, it has to work with private partnership. It cannot just work easily with already existing teachers. When it comes to state, I'm just trying to be careful. I think they are doing what they can. They are. I don't know how to say that. It takes. You just need to be very intentional about this to make it happen. You have to work with not just people that understand how to write it on paper, but how it's actually going to work. The state has the capacity to reach out to anybody they want. Anambra Nwelomadu, or let's use the Igbo.
Absolutely.
Yes, Igbo Nwelomadu. So, but from my experience, it doesn't just have someone who has a PhD or someone who is a professor on this. It takes someone who is ruggedly on the ground to get this implemented. It's also very difficult if you just think it's a one-off thing or it's a paparazzi thing, something we need to do and take a picture, or something we need to do and we just say we've done this. But how do you sustain this? So a lot of planning has to go under it. But if you ask me, I think the state is capable if they really want to do that.
Interesting. Well, our sister, again, welcome to the show. You've done really well. I have a question for you. Amaram, can you guys hear me? I didn't know my sound echo.
Yeah, we can hear you, Ganiru.
Okay. Owing him and not very remarkable. I don't think a lot of people what you did. I think probably about 6 years ago, you had about 6 young girls in your set. And you guys entered into a competition at Silicon Valley in the US. And apparently you won that competition by building a software that was going to detect fake drugs or something like that. It was about gold in Technovation contest, and I think about 115 or thereabout countries were involved in it. It was remarkable. You brought pride to our people. So can you walk us through that? How did that come about? What was it like? And what did it feel like being a winner in that particular contest?
Okay. Well, I wasn't prepared. I wasn't prepared for what came after the winning. I was just a young woman passionate about technology, and more importantly, passionate about giving those young girls that voice, because I was just once a young girl that was looking for a voice in my life. I was looking for someone to advise me or do something for me to take me to the next level at that age, but it never came. So when I had the opportunity for even to mentor them, I gave it all my best. I was going home around 9 o'clock in the night. I was, I would cook very early and I would try to convince my husband to take the children home. So I was just, I was even telling the Reverend Father then that n'ife abụrụkwanụ ka anyị win, ka anyị try godu na if the curriculum ndị I was so excited. So in my own self, I was just so happy to teach them without even knowing what will come out of it. But I'm really happy that at the end, that effort we put could go this big. I didn't know. So when it happened, I was also excited, but that was not the excitement, the trending was not my thing. I was worried about how do I sustain this thing? How do I make communities understand that that we still have other 100 girls behind the scene. We have 1,000 girls. We have the states. So I was looking forward for other girls. I don't want to dwell in that. If you look at, I don't always talk about that. I want to do something bigger for other girls. So that was how I felt. This is how I'm feeling, that even now I am still looking forward to, having engagement with more girls and sustaining it, so that by the time I look 10 years, those girls will come back and say, I want to also lift up other girls and I want to also do better. And I'm also looking forward to our Igbo people incorporate. This is not part of the question you asked me, but I can use this opportunity to say this. I would say that, if I am in Lagos, I could easily get our Igbo people that are bank managers or have authorities in these organizations to sponsor a program in Lagos. But if I'm in Anambra, it becomes very tough. So because I have said that I might still be the local champion of Anambra the way people say it, but I'm still grateful that I want to use the opportunity to reach out to those people down there. And I'm looking to continue or to keep getting recommendations that will bring more light, that will throw more light to what we are doing in Anambra. It becomes easy for us down there. So even though I may not have answered your question, I was happy that we won, but I was worried that we need to sustain this of the children, not for my sake. No.
Sorry, I interrupted you when you weren't done. Actually, you are not a local champion. I had to say that. You are a champion. You are a true champion, not a local. What you did got my attention to the point that I first of all, I didn't know if anything at all about raising girls in tech. I didn't know about that first. So that got my attention to the fact that even though tech is still growing in Nigeria, no more I go that far. And then the second thing was that I said, wow, so Nigerians can actually compete in tech in America and won globally. Like, I didn't know that was possible because we don't have the infrastructure, we don't have the foundation, we don't have anything at all in our education system that warrants or that promises such achievement. So the person who was able to nurture these young people who didn't have computers under their bed growing up like Bill Gates them did, the person who did all this work, nurtured those people, taught them to the point that they could go and compete with kids that had privilege, had all the edges and advantages. That person is a champion. Don't ever listen to what anybody's saying. Like you are somebody we are so proud of. And it's not about where you are based. It's about what you have done and what you're doing. You're a pioneer. You are a visionary leader. Your work can be it's just that for now, we have been working in silos as in the Igbo, young Igbos, but time has come for us to start coming together, collaborating, putting our efforts in a concerted way, pushing it in a concerted way, working together. Even as you're talking now, I'm thinking of what we can do together. Because I think what you need the most, beyond more hands, is exposure. Let me call it, exposure, visibility. That's what I'll call it. Visibility. You need to be seen more. You need to speak more in places. People need to know. More people need to know what you're doing. there is need to put more light on the effort you are putting into that work you're doing. And then second thing is people who are going to work with you, people who can do other things that you don't need to do. For instance, I'm talking about media right now. There are other things that people who have other skills, who have also invested time, energy, and resources to develop in those areas can contribute to what you're doing while you're contributing to what they're doing. You know, that's what I'm thinking. And that's why I think it's possible. But I want to pivot this into, I don't know if you could, I know you're being careful. You're based in Anambra State. You want to be loyal to your governor and all. I understand that. I believe that every governor in Igbo, in their heart, they want development. It's just that how best to go about it. That's what I believe personally. Beyond whatever people you may call greed or selfishness or loyalty to whoever, something not game. The challenge. And I think the reason why you came up, the reason why you did what you did was because you were prompted. Your spirit knew that this is time and it prompted you and you came into it. And it's because there's a job or there are jobs, significant jobs you're meant to do with development in Igbo. If you do go already. So that was why I asked you that question. You know, I was going to say if you were to be like an advisor to the governor, what would you tell him? But I wouldn't put it that way. Mana, do you think that regarding the way things are going in the Southeast, not just Anambra State, the way things are going in the Southeast and other parts of the Southeast, do you think that there will be possibility for you to replicate this thing in Eme? Because in Eme only in Onitsha. For instance, I have a nephew who I consider a special kid, you know, gifted kid. Is special. His brain doesn't work the normal way other kids' brain works. He talks about solar and all kinds of things at the age of 8. Yeah, he understands it, you know. And he lives in Enugu. Doesn't live in Onitsha. I would have loved to see him in that your hub, you know, come around and learn from you and learn from your facility. But it's too far. So are you looking at having some kind of partnerships that will enable you to plant this same, I will call it a movement, to plant this same thing in other parts of Igbo so that it becomes a movement that goes round? We're going to meet that are interested in partnership with you.
Sure. I cannot be everywhere. So partnership is definitely a yes. I'm partnering with some schools currently. We just opened a new AI and robotics hub with Nnewi Diocese, Anglican Diocese. So this hub is going to be serving the whole school, about 16 secondary schools in the diocese. And we have opened it in such a way that it's going to be sustainable for at least 5 years. Like I am Agi game from now to 5 years. I am go onye go year 1 to year 5 guy. And so is well structured. And this is the way it should be in different places. It's a model that can be replicated, but it has to be sustained. You know, you don't just open up a space, a tinye furniture and everything, and how do we sustain it? So yes, it's a sustainable model that can work around the clock, and also in different states. But you know, most people living abroad have their houses where spaces. See, okay, in this space, where 50 computers, and I'm going to, first of all, where donation just sustain yearly basis. You know, these are the things. Most people don't even have money. But so, how do we build a sustainable hubs that can? How do we n'ala Igbo to say na ife ga-emenwulu ọbụgodu mmadụ 10 mee ya for 5 years, rather than saying ana m donate to 20 million to this particular organization because now imagoge luchukwaka or something. But how do I say that this 20 million ongeji awezo matter 5 and this sure that na ndi anu where habo in the next 5 years so that fejide go to also do it for other 5 people. Can you imagine if Igbo people, if we are doing that in our state? So yes, it is possible to be done in places if you have good and sustainable plan.
The other question I asked was, has anybody approached you regarding partnership of any kind? I like what you're doing. I would like to do it in my own state. How do we do that?
Is it a state thing, like state with the government or state with an individual?
Any of both. It could be any of both. It could be either.
I think yes, it's possible. It's just that it's a need thing. Who is in need of it? So whoever that needs things goes for it and say, yes, I need this thing. How can you make it possible? Yes, partnership is highly possible if people that wants partnership, because all the very hard for me to go to, let me say, an individual that I know that is well to do and say, can you do this for your community? What do I want to gain? Of course, I'm also I'm not like, how do I say it? I need also to sustain what I'm doing. So, I want to use this opportunity to give you an example. In Obosi, no, in Ojoto, there is one of the hubs I'm also sharing. An individual, a single individual, Jenna, New Obosi, a space I want to build something, and he built. And what I'm trying to say is that a very, very good comprehensive STEM lab that is serving up some secondary schools in part of Ojoto. So this is one person. People are not, what do you stand to gain? Or say, I have the resources. I want these children. Come afaga Izubori, come afaga Igbo, come afaga all these things. I want them to have a place there they can have hope. And I'm also saying that we can do that in Oba, we can do that in Nnewi, we can do that in Enugu, Imo State and Abia. But who is ready to lead that ring?
Fanabia. Ainabia. We are all coming. We are coming. One of the things that I'm thinking, that I'm not how much that has happened, but I'm curious about it. When you do a competition that won, what is their story? And when any follow-up on their story, capturing their journey since then till now, before they move go Igbo and all that, and a way that you're telling their story so that at least people can see it as a reference point. The way I produce good, this is what we are trying to replicate and even go beyond that.
Yes, I've been following up on them for about. If I never left them, but it's a long story. They are doing well. They are all in the university right now, in the STEM field. Most of them entered because it was also hard to get scholarship abroad, and they didn't have a lot of patience, so have go to school. They are actually all in the university. Some of them will be graduating in the next 2 years or in the next 3 years. And we hope to keep following up. Now, by the time they graduate, they will be adults. They are adults now, but at least they will have more freedom to do what they want. But they are doing absolutely well in their different fields.
Why I asked that question is because let me just something about why I asked that question is because I think that this is one of the things that will help to attract support of all sorts, and also even I believe that there are funds, there are what you may call grants and funds for social development, international grants and funds for social development that you can activate, you can unlock just by the way the whole thing is put together and presented. I'm sure you are making a lot of efforts towards that. But when need to go into this area of capturing these people, maybe having interviews with them, and seeing where they have come, how far they've come in their journey. I'm putting it together like a small documentary. I believe personally that is going to help. It's going to help a lot in projecting what you're doing. We are having a conversation here about prioritizing quality education in Igbo, and we have a guest here by the name Uchenna Onwamebu Ugu. She is a STEM education advocate, the founder of EduFund Techniques, and she is actually a visionary. She is here to share with us what she's doing and what we can do regarding education in Igbo. If you would like to join this conversation, feel free to request a mic and ask questions or engage her or even contribute to the conversation, especially if you are into education. That we can learn from or add to what we're talking about. Also, we want to go around, we want to touch all the states in the Southeast, so Ebonyi states, and you understand what's going on there. You can come in and give us a little update as to the challenges and a few things if you go government in Megoluna regarding this. And also, if you're from Imo, Abia, Enugu, Anambra, feel free to join us and engage and bring some updates as to what you know. And Machonia Anambra State, and Machonia Enugu State, just some questions about the smart school that Peter Mba has been talking about. What do you think about it, Chenna?
Okay. Again, I have to also let you know that whatever the government thinks is a good idea is also a good idea until it starts working. Smart school is beautiful. It just has to start working before we can be able to have opinions about it and to know what they are doing about it. However, the idea or the conception or the paper proposal about it is beautiful, but I want it to start working. I want us to know the sustainable plan, what happens after 8 years, who are running it, how is it going to stay. So yeah, I support that.
Hello, continue.
Yeah, I support the smart school. Okay. I don't know what else to say. It's the government, they have the money and they can do it.
I'll come back to that.
Do you know what I want to say? I want to say that you like about how modest and how calculated your response is. You're very straight to the point. And not only that, you're very straight to the point. You talk about the things that matter the most. Like, you could have gone on rambling about the smart school, but I said, no, we need to wait for it to start working. Because behind our job, I try for the value. What is value? Value is the utility you can derive from something. We have to see what the value is, borrow, so that we can then assess it, which is a very, very rational answer. So, I like it. I love it. Oh, we enjoy Jugio. Historically, we've come a long way in the bang, our people, especially when it comes to education. We come from a system, but we believe so much in the business school, apprenticeship system. Just go and learn trade. Even historically, when we're at the point, women couldn't even go to school. And now you are here, years after, championing STEM for children, most especially for women, for young girls, from what I've seen. And where gaps that you see when it comes to providing these things, each other provides these young women or young girls or these young kids, what are some of your biggest challenges, especially from a gender perspective?
Okay, let me be as very honest as possible. In as much as we have individuals that want to support, that want to okay, let me start with the challenge. The challenge that we have is resources, ego, or that resources starts with money, material things like the computers, and mentorship as well. But nke na-akasị nke bụ ka ngwa ọ bụ na ị mara this, let me just say this in general. See, the greatest challenge a woman faces in career or mentorship is having the resources to achieve their dream. Ka efi ịchọ ịbụ ka ị ga-esi bulie nwatakịrị gụsị secondary school came into the hub. We have a Queen Afrik program. They are so excited. They want to do work, but they don't have computers. Computers are running into 200,000 now. How would that child cope? Now, how would they? There is work if they can be able to sustain themselves, get the computer and start doing some small work before they advance. So it takes time. Then, because we give these programs for free, somebody has paid, or most times people don't pay. I pay with my because that is what I've decided to be doing with God. Upgrading on Mother 5, I'll be doing that until these children become someone. But the main thing I want to share with you now to touch this question I'm telling you is that helping young people to grow is being anybody that will do that has to be intentional. I want to use myself as an example. If I am happy when they say Igbo people are calling me or anything that has to do with our progress, I will jump in. No matter how inconvenient it is. I will jump in. I know that it's by showing up that we are able to share our stories and tell people what we are doing. Let me use myself as an example. I got an admission 1 year ago to do my master's at Harvard, and some of us know that going to Harvard is not beans. And I came out publicly when it was so hard for me, and I came out so publicly. Before coming out publicly, I've asked the whole world, the people I know, but you know that you don't force people to give, even if you have good intentions of why you're asking. Everybody have their own problem, right? But deep inside me, I will be very honest, I felt that I am entitled to ndị Igbo ịzụpụta m. Because onye zụpụtalụ m ga-azụpụta mmadụ 200,000 ọzọ. And I was publicly to beg, Twitter and everywhere. If it was difficult for me to get help, the likes of Uche, the likes of Ozioma, the likes of Mexi, so many other people here, and you can see, supported. They were sharing the tweets, they were asking people, they were donating. They are not on the man phone, but it was difficult for me to raise at least 10% of that money. So if it would be difficult for me, mepụta to go n'ihu n'ụfụlụ anya ihe ndị Igbo dey proud of, how will it be for the girl child who is very smart and intelligent but have no means? So it is difficult. It just takes the grace and grit. I will not advise anybody to do what I did by even venturing into that school. But you know what? If we don't fight so hard, nobody's going to give it to you like that. So we need to fight so that other girls, other women will see that you tried, you were there. Zonya ufoge, yamaloze higeme, maya bulu that you strive. So I hope this is a personal story, and this is how it is. For if it's going to be that hard for me, how is it going to be for other people? And I thank other people here that are supported, but you people know that this is a true life story. So it's hard. Ndị Igbo need to be intentional about kedu ndị anyị ga-enyela aka, kedu ndị anyị ga-azụ, ọ bụrụ n'ọnụ ka na-eme ya, because ebe adị igwe wee zụọ ofu onye, ifu na onye ahụ n'ụzọpụta ga-ekunikwa zụba ndị ọzọ. Mana ọ bụ na anyị na-ekwu ya n'ọnụ kezi ife anyị meze, ka ife anyị meze. We owe it to ourselves to say that I'm not going to climb up there alone. I'm going to climb, and I'm going to look back and pull others with me so that it will spread all across. I don't know if I answered or I just used this opportunity to talk about it.
Absolutely, you really did justice to that. Your story is inspiring. Nke bụ eziokwu bụ na that's why Njikwa pioneer. You know, those who ndị na-ebido ụzọ, ndị a na-akpọ forerunner, right? Ndị na-ebido karịa ife, they are the ones that face the most challenges. Ọ ha bụ ndị na-shatter the glass, you know, the glass ceiling and all that. If ọ bụ na na-akpọ ya, just like what we in our history ndị Igbo from the beginning, you know, when we started this development, like in the 40s, 50s, and 60s, ọkwa FIFA, the first set of guys were sponsored by the community, you know, atụ ego, elana, ele nke ọzọ, asị na onye nke nwere ụbụrụ nnukwu na nke nwere ụbụrụ eji agụ akwụkwọ ka eziga ya school, si ebe a jebe obodo oyibo jee maybe Oxford or Cambridge or one of those schools. Ogosizia Batazia, he takes all of that and invest in the people. You know, that was how we were able to build what we built. You know, so we are actually trying to redo what we did before. So you being in the front, him now, but exactly what is meant to happen. Unfortunately, not easy for people like you. But I believe that it's going to be easier for others because of the sacrifices you've made, because of the path you are clearing for them. All the guys who make or the more effective with the question, you know, because why join here in this conversation so we can broaden it, so we can have some softness, you know, extra softness. And from my perspective, you know, just like we are also asking. Like I got with him the neighbor already. Revire. I forgot Revire. They were.
On a top man for our conversation pop up on my phone. Afambo Chukwugozie Revire, Moya Bag in Anambra State. I only have a suggestion. Adibo, Uchenna, thank you for what you're doing. I think I remember when you did what you did. I think I saw the news, it really made a big impression. And it's such a very good fit. And I'm looking forward for us to do more. I only came here to bring a suggestion. So the suggestion I wanted to bring up is, because something in our each time we're talking about Igbo sustainability in education and businesses and all of that, there is this gap whereby something can, you know, there is this conversation about sustainability and how can this be championed. And from my experience and my job, I work for Jewish community here in LA. There is something I noticed they do, which I want us to see if we could use as prototype and build our community. So if you come to Jewish community in America here, they have what they call Jewish Family Service. And I've been thinking about how we could be able to replicate that in our own community, because when we said the government, in Enugu State, something happened in art community, because I'm also an educator. My mom is also a school headmistress, and I've seen a lot in Nigerian educational system, because sometimes I had to follow my mom to some of the schools where she was posted in Ibanria, Monando, all these remote areas, which is so sad to see, because sometimes these kids are under the rain or under the trees. There is no roof, there is no infrastructure. And until date, those things are still happening. And Nigeria is over 60-something years. And when we keep talking about the government for sustainability, or looking at the government or the state, on Adam will be merely because it can be sustained. Because after 4 years, after 8 years, it's a new, things changes. So what I see the Jewish community does in America here is they have their own institution. So when we say the Jewish are powerful, the Jewish are this, the Jewish are, there is an institution, and it's built on Jewish family service. Now let me give you an instance, because in my job what we do is, let's say somebody died. Just to give you an instance of what is happening in this organization, just a little bit. When somebody dies and you can't fund your funeral, you could call Jewish Family Service and they're going to take care of the funeral. If you were going to school, you can't be able to pay your school fees, you could call Jewish Family Service and they pay your school fees. There is a lot of groups under this Jewish Family Service. It's an institution of itself. Huge, ginormous. They have organizations in every state. This is very doable. It's very doable, and I've been thinking about it, because there is no sustainability for Igbo people without an institution that could govern every aspect of our development. Now, is this doable? Yes, it's doable. How is JFS funded? the billionaires, the millionaires, these rich families. Because in the American tax system, it kind of favors people who does donations. So when they donate or they will their whatever before they die to this organization, they get a kind of write-offs for their taxes. I think it could be done in Nigeria. We have all these billionaires showing off on social media because there is this need for a rich man to show off. And this organization, if it could be instituted, can be designed in such a way that these men and women who want to show off could show off by their impact in our organization, in our communities, in the lives of Igbo people annually. So these organizations, these families with their money, these companies, Jewish-owned companies, these Jewish institutions fund this annually and they get tax write-off. I think with this institution, well, let's say it's going to be called Igbo Family Service. It's going to be funding like this tech information, this tech business idea we are talking about. It's going to fund our social endeavors, like the Igbo whatever we did in Lagos that was so huge. So instead of looking for people for donations, we can go into our pocket because it's a trust fund. It has to be a trust fund so that it can be sustainable by itself, with, I don't know how the banking people do it. It's going to be huge. It's going to take a lot. And it needs the brains of everybody. I was talking to one guy the other day who was very passionate about Igbo. His name is Obiora Wazata. So he was talking about Igbo Akulweono. From Obodo Igbo. It's about bringing home your intelligence. It's about bringing home your ideas. It's about bringing home your expertise and bringing it together to build our community. I think it's time, Ndi Igbo let me say, how do I put it? It's time we start thinking Nkabonkai. By the time we start thinking about Nkabonkai, the more we grow. Because the envy is there. And the envy is because you are huge, but then you are not somebody who is, what I see us as, is somebody who is so gifted, but the person is not aware of himself or herself. So people rubbish you because you are not even doing as much as you're supposed to do. And the reason why we get this jealousy from other communities is because we are not so knitted together like the Jewish community. We dare not talk. Like America here, everybody's scared of the Jews because they are all over the place. And how are they all over the place? Because they have an institution. And this institution has funded the education of most of them, or must have paid some bills for them, or must have done something for you. So you are somehow indebted to that organization. It's not just a religion. I was also going to Jewish services, like their synagogue, and I learned a lot about these people. It's not a religion. It's the way of life, and that's why the name it says Jewish Family Service. So. And when we start thinking about we will go far. We will go really far. I don't want to talk too much, but I just think when we're talking about sustainability, when we're talking about the way forward, we should be thinking about organizations. I'm not just talking about having the one I'm talking about. There are so many organizations in Jube, like there is a lot of them. Man, if we are going to be doing this, like, it's going to just be like lip service each time we're talking about our problem, because you know why? There is no institution championing this outside government. There should be an institution. And from Nkabonkai, we'll be able to feed all the ideas that are coming up. Before Jimali in 10 years' time, I need Dubai. I love when we are talking about us, because the more we talk about this, thank you so much, guys.
Oh, thank you so much, Rivaya. I like the way your mind works. I like the way you think. Biko, anytime, I didn't know you've been following this show for a long time. From now on, I urge you to also grab the mic whenever you're around, join the conversation as well, because you really, really made a difference in this conversation just by what you said now. I was actually getting ready to get to the point where I would say, okay, if I get me, how do we create that system, that process that can actually back up Udife, people like Uchenna, and others. If you find them, how do we create that system that can back all those things? And you just came and dropped it like a bomb. We had a conversation last Sunday about Igbo. It's not the money show. It's just people coming together, Igbo coming together, saying, okay, it's time for us to come together. It's time for us to, build together, collaborate, have a collective energy, have maybe a body that is advancing the interest of Igbo and developing Ali Igbo, working towards development in Ali Igbo. And it's not just in one direction. It's coming from different angles. It's coming from economy. It's coming from social development, like what you mentioned now. It's also coming from good governance. So advocacy for good governance. So if he mentioned now, I remember the day this guy talked about, we're talking about a corona with Carlo Adja, and he mentioned something. I think he called it development fund or something. And
Endowment fund.
Endowment fund, yeah. Endowment fund, I think, is aligned with what you're talking about. The question was, how do we design it in a way that people find it, one, transparent, two, that we are accountable? Trust is a deficit in Igbo right now. How do we make sure that we infuse enough elements in it that will promise anybody who is looking at it that this is actually going to deliver the Abe Legogi? This is an organization and a system that you can trust. That's the question I gonna ask while we're talking about doing that. But I would like you to join. There was a form that was released that day when we had that conversation. People to also fill the form if they would like to be part of the process, part of what we're doing, contribute in some way. I would urge you to fill that form. I'll post it. I'll retweet it and then put it on the Jumbotron so you can also click on it and be part of it. People like you should be not just talking about great ideas, but also committing, if you wouldn't mind.
Major sister, how would you react to what Revaya said? What are your thoughts on something like this, an endowment fund or special purpose vehicle, SPV, or some type of trust too, that will put money aside for things like this? He covered a lot of things, welfare, social needs, anyway, as a people, but or they go to specific to just education, or maybe Igbo education fund or something, just make donations specifically to fund education for our children, Igbo. What are your thoughts on this type of ideas?
Well, like I always say, it's beautiful. I believe na Igbo people nwere mmadụ. Ha nwekwara ego. No, who would lead, and how would people trust who is leading? Who would say, I can do this. I have this money to put. I want my friends. This is what I will do. Because, to be honest, onye ga-agba ọbụla ya nwa bụ ụzọ. I say, onye anụ nwere n'ifo ji 1 million naira eme. Nwere n'oge, okay, ebe o weta 1 million, m ga-eweta 1, nwere n'ọkalele. So this is, when it comes to issue of trust, ndị nwekwanụ ga-ewepụta jiri aka fa manage. Like when I design programs for people, I design how you bring out the money and I design how you use that money, because I don't want to manage it for you. So, but I will give you how you want it. So people who have that money will be able to come together and say, oh, more gauge this money, but that is where other people will say, oh, I trust that this person has this money, he's holding it. So because he's holding it, we can now put all our money here, then we plan what we want to do with it. That's what I think about it. But if this will ever happen, it will be a beautiful thing for the Igbo people. Because what he said, like I was listening to him, I know what he was saying was 100% right. You have countries like Indonesia who have like, in my own cohorts, they have like 6 people in the same school. And the country trained the 6 people. They paid their tuition, they paid housing, and they gave them stipend. And what happens after the education? That all of you are all going to come back home and work for the government for 5 years. Trust me, 5 people pulled out from Harvard to be in your government for 5 years is a game changer for that country. And you don't say they are not wise. They are very wise. That money they will use those people are going to, empower the economy of the country with what they have learned, and they do that every year. This year you have about 3 Indonesian students in the same school. So they come in, they build the network, they go back with the network, and they put that back in their education system. And that is the way it should be for the Igbo community. That's
Brilliant
what
answer.
that's feeling.
Oh, we enjoyed you. Sorry, just to back up this question, Jody. I have a preposition. I want you to tell me, what are your thoughts are here in regards to it. You're right. The big question, but trust. We cannot trust our politicians. We cannot trust the average businessman. We cannot even trust even some people like China with good intentions. All of a sudden, happen at the system, things happen and changes. But in Fugo, especially when it comes to education, for some reason, we trust our religious institution. Peter B was very clear, and even a lot of people have said it, that the moment schools will change in hands and then went to the religious institution, we saw a drastic difference. Or the possible he build this type of trust fund, and even historically, religious people push through the missionaries, they are more focused on education. Can we set up something like this using our religious institutions as a way to pioneer and channel this in Nigeria? Because you work with them. I heard you mentioning the father you work with during that process in Aga. What are your thoughts in regards to that? If the religious institution can play a big role in ideas like this one we're talking about.
Of course they can. Of course, so we just need to start somewhere and set an example. Because in the old boys, but let me use DMGS as an example. If you go into DMGS, they have beautiful building, beautiful, everything. The old boys are trying very well. But I want a situation where the old boys will say, let's say now we're a model like that, and the old boys will say, 5 students, this in the set 1975 or 1978 or 1980, I say, I go kita, all these muscles I need pool and I need a donation. We have $1 million. Give me 5 students that you've seen that are brilliant. I ask this person from year 1 to final year. These are the kind of development we want. I actually building. These are the things I think, though you won't tell people how to use their money, they can do whatever they want with their money. But I'm just trying to say, these are the kind of things that happen at DMGS. Let them bring out 10 people from beginning to end, and this is what they are doing. So this is human capital development, not building capital development, what I can see and touch. I'm not saying, I've tried to ask some of their boys to let me know, apart from building and donating, we need to see the people. So can in 30 years that every year that old boys of all these big schools, and they have 10 people ISO. So in 30 years times 10, and what those people are doing. If you can recall a particular doctor from US that donated $1 million to their school in Ibadan, so I can't remember the exact place. So these are the things that when you start building from the foundation, if una those people na tukwa Diego ga-amada na Diego nwe ebe ọ ga-aba mana enwe ike ịtụ ude ga school elotel gị na ha alụbara na in fact na one Catholic school or one hall na ha nwebe the hall ma na alo filling station na ha nwebe ka etinye na the bread factory or filling station. So it has to be an intentional community that will say, even if it's a church, na ndị anyị chezu this year with 10 people or 5 people, that the ones that will benefit from this endowment fund. So we are going to train them from year 1 to final year until they get a job, and that is what we are going to be doing. So this is the way I see it, the way it's going to work. The churches, they are trustworthy, not everyone, but we can start at least from somewhere to start making it happen.
Brilliant, very brilliant.
Because For me, because
Uche, it is so nice. Honestly, it is so calm. Like it didn't make one of that violent spirit. On our Chudo governor, so peaceful. She doesn't want to hurt anybody. She doesn't want to hurt any fly. She doesn't want to displease anybody. I understand that. I mean, when you're with the same approach. I mean, this works for you, and I like that spirit. It's a beautiful, sweet spirit. Nelo want them. Nelo, can you hear me? Okay, Nelo is not speaking. Let's move to the people in the audience. Okay, we have Alex here. Alex has joined us. Alex, like you all know, Alex is the CEO of Educare. Alex has invested tremendously into education in Igbo, and he's always investing. He's always empowering. He's always supporting. He's always doing one thing or the other, using what he knows, tech, to propel us to the future. And he's very, very attendant to what is going on in Igbo or what Alokosia work. So that was why we said, let's have these people on this show and engage them and talk about Igbo. If I get me from the insights they have regarding the current situation and what the future holds and what we have in terms of potential and then what we need. Alex, you're welcome to the show.
Thank you, Choka. Thank you so much for the opportunity to join us again. Thank you.
All right. Let's have some takes from the audience. I think Ifeanyi Hemeje has been here for a while. Ifeanyi, are you ready to go for it?
Yeah. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak. What Mrs. Chena is doing is really very, I don't know how to explain. It's very fundamental to any society that wants to grow and grow fast. And I think I really appreciate her for what she has been doing so far. And I hope that God strengthens his heart and gives her all the support she needs to go further. I've heard many other people chime in as regards what we need to do. Even Rivaya spoke most of the things that we've actually had conversation on. I think there was a time we're talking about trust funds, arranging a system that everybody can trust and transparently account for whichever funds comes in and all that. So I think we're repeating it again, which means that it's very, very important and we have to do that. As regards tech and science generally, most of the terms we use and most of the things we talk as regards STEM is really echoed from European countries, America and all that. I think what we should do, like Mrs. Jenna also said, like training people and then trying to use that human capital to develop. China did it, Indonesia did it, India did it as regards semiconductors, but it didn't work out very well. But they are going in. I think they've created their own semiconductor currently, their own fab. China has successfully built their own processor. I think Japan did that. But they didn't do very well in the software because they were using a lot of third-party companies in Europe and all that to use as a foundation for their software. But they did very well in hardware. So I think we should try to look for the challenges we have here as a country, pick up those challenges, figure out the technologies available to build them, focus on those ones and build it. And it shouldn't only be revolving around the talking point of girl, child. It should be everybody, irrespective of gender. Just get them interested, let them build or do some things. It doesn't need a formal system of education. It does not need. It just needs a space with internet, with the computers, and with the tools. Tools meaning pieces of semiconductor boards, Raspberry, Arduino, what they call them again, 3D printers and all that. Figure out the challenges, start building on things. Small robotics. There are a lot of robotic, open source robotic software and platform available online that you can just learn from, hands-on, and build things. You don't even need to speak English to be able to do that. So if we can get those things done, set up, it doesn't need a formal education system where you have like where you go for this class, so and so time, finish this, go for another one. No, you just give the children a direction of what to build and how to build them, and then make it fun. They already started learning that way. They already started building that way. Now, when you now connect it to a problem are already available in the society, you get, they start becoming more valuable because they're solving problems. Money comes from that way. I think that's the core. Then training people, specially taking them abroad to learn maybe mechatronics, robotics, or something from somewhere in Europe, and then coming back to train using their knowledge and everything is also very important. So I think if we target those two angles, the first one is breeding and harnessing this interest in children. You get, it doesn't need a formal system of education. It just needs interest, maybe holiday period, and then they do those things. And then the other one that have to train officially group of people that are very exceptional in some certain field. Maybe they've actually grown them through the inspiration process or during when they're children, the first process. Now you now got into the process where they're now bigger and older. They can go to schools to learn this master's, PhD, and then come back and spend a couple of time with us, transferring that knowledge and their network. I think if we do that with the fund backing, the whatever, how we call it, I don't know whether it's trust fund, whatever I'll call it, you get, we have a perfect, not a perfect system, but a system that we can now build on. I think that will work for us going forward. Yeah, so that was it for me.
All right, thank you for that contribution. Daniel, would you like to come in here? We're still talking about how to develop a system that enables these things. And if I like if we change the name before we go to Alex.
All right, thank you. Just confirm that you can hear me, Chuka.
Yes, I can hear you. Okay. We need to go, Bele.
All right. Good evening, Bye. Good evening, Omunam. Ekenekwa Amonuncha. Good evening, Alex. Good evening, Uchenna. Daalụ na ife na-eme gbasara ọdịmma ala Igbo. Ife na-emebi ife ndị nna ọchịchị kwesịrị ịdị na-champion. I was discussing with a number of people last week, and the conversation was centering around development in Africa. Onwere ife anyị na-adị emecha ọfụma. In other climes, development is by design, or by propaganda, or by design. Every nation you want a vision. I say a vision 2030 or vision 2050 because they are envisioning that this is where they are and this is what they want to look like in the future. Every developed country today we're futurists. But futurists, they are not prophets. They are just thinking about strategies, research, development. What pathway should they follow? Where do they want to lead in the next 5, 10, 15, 20, 30 years ahead? And surprisingly in Abaye, we do not have people championing this cause yet. Rather, all individuals doing it on their own. But notwithstanding, it's good that now people have devoted themselves to say, okay, even if government is not doing this, let's lead it. And that is why we have people like Uchenna, who has dedicated her life to setting up and building STEM infrastructure in Onitsha and using it to empower people. On the other hand, we have people like Alex, who is investing in software to address some of our educational problems. And not just doing it, he's also now doing some sort of corporate social responsibility in terms of making sure that his idea spirals across Nigeria and Igbo in general. But I've listened to what Uche said this evening, and many of us are aware about it. So it calls for challenge that we need to start rethinking the way we do things in Igbo. Ịlụ na amaka, ime akwamozu amaka, ime birthday celebration mara mma, ichi title amaka. But after doing all this, ọ bụ na anyị invest in our future, ọ bụrụ na anyị mere ife ga-abụ ga-enwe longevity, asị gị ka eme ife a ka uru ife a ga-aba in the next 10-20 years, then our money has no value. Let's just be honest about it. Many of us today have benefited from scholarships. Many people going to America today, this week or last week, I saw a number of our people who got admission in the US to study PhD. Some of them are getting up to $200,000 or up to $500,000 in funding. People are funding it. So am I saying this? Let's start thinking about our future. Collaborate. Start small. I'm not saying that we need to start big. We can start small. Start looking at some of the basics that we can address. One thing which sometimes you hear it in the lips of our young people, but school na scam. I don't know who started people are getting it, and it has become a norm for them to mention that term, school na scam. But school is not scam. Rather, I think the problem we have is the fact that the kind of education that we're providing for our younger generation looks like scam. It lacks quality. And we need to change that narrative. We need to position ourselves. One advantage I want to have in the 21st century. Nothing is hidden anymore. Nothing is hidden anymore in the world. AI is even democratizing knowledge. It is making it easily available. But at the end of the day, it doesn't mean that, knowledge has come to an end. No, research is still going on. People are still doing research. As we are talking about AI right now, people are still investing in GPUs, researching about GPUs, researching about optimizations, researching about space and the rest of them. So where can we contribute? Our people are also doing this. I'm lucky to have a number of friends who are doing wonderful things, including AI and healthcare and the rest of them. But the problem is that we've not been able to create synergy so that they can contribute back home. And that is what we need to start doing. And one day also gave me, and now brought the younger generation, not ever. It should start from us. The experience which your one Mebo had this year, I don't think that we need to allow it to happen again. We need to sort of form some sort of consortium to say, this is how we want to solve our problems. Who are the change leaders in our spaces? What do they need? Who are the talents among us? What do they need? How can we support them? How can we bridge the gap? Another problem we even have is mentorship. How can we mentor them? If you look at Nsukka today, there are a number of young people being churned out, even though the quality of education, thereby, but there are people who are fighting to make sure that they come out the best. But they lack mentorship. I'm mentoring a few, but sometimes I know the number of challenges that they are facing. Like, I'm thinking that by now, some of the problems I experienced 10 years ago should no longer happen, but today it is still happening. Some of the schools we have are not, especially the universities, are not improving. We might have built new structures, but the quality there has deteriorated. There's no power supply, there's no quality housing, there's no good internet. Ikuziemaka primary education. The teachers are not well paid. You can see Alex Afugome a number of his tweets where any teacher 30,000 or 40,000, or 40 or 50,000. How do you expect the person to be able to imbibe quality education on the younger ones? And then again, I think I'm going to stop here. Let me stop here. I think I'll speak later, Kunya, because I'm not a guest here. But I think I'm just trying to challenge us to start thinking out of the box, to see the need to see how we can come in, no matter how little it is, to support our people, identify people who are changing the narratives in Igbo, and support them. Because in other climes, they don't need fund. If Uchenna is in the US, NSF will fund her for the rest of her life. She will be giving scholarships to people, she will be admitting people, giving them research grants and the rest of them. If she's even here in South Africa, she'll be funded by NRF. and she will be traveling all over the world, short seeking people from across the world to come here and support her in her projects and ambitions. But Odigo Kawagade, if the government is not doing it, then we need to also come in and start seeing how to create a structure to make these things happen, no matter how little.
Thank you, Daniel. Thank you. I have just posted the form that we shared last week. Was it last week? Yeah, last week. The form we posted, I've just put it on the Jumbotron for anybody who is interested to commit to helping to build the Hindi now. Because every Saturday about problems and solutions, what we need to do. And at the same time, we need to also have a place where organize so that we can actually deliver the solutions that we're talking about. On way for a revival kuluna so much. I want to re-echo it. He said, Nkabon Kai. I never thought about that Nkabon Kai this way. Today, Nkabon Kai actually means Ikwebike. Means what we're doing it for all of us. We're not doing it for me or for you, but for all of us. Everybody will gain from that collective effort. That's the reason why we need to do it together. Thank you, Daniel. Alex.
Yeah, Kunya, I actually have a question to ask.
Yeah, we were asking you to speak earlier. Odika, your connection was having issues.
Yeah, Mark, I did not hear because I had to go off and then come back again. Ima, I've been listening to a lot of the conversation, and Odika, as a people, I for Dugaka, I decide go that I got help the government, Kahane Emeko Sewe Soha, and I don't think that it's a healthy approach to take, because if enter regionals, how can we as a people come together and mobilize in such a way that we can hold government to do these things, the things that government needs to do? We should be able to find a way to keep speaking about it so that they would be first. Tobago no 100 if ever kwesime 100%, kapame at least 20 to 30% instead of just accepting that they have decided that they can't do anything, and so we have to on our own do these things. So I really want us to come together as well as people were coming together to fund and everything. We also need to come together and establish as a pressure group. So Chamima, how can we do this? Establish as a pressure group to force the hands of government. If anyone has idea, that would be appreciated. Thanks.
To actually bought in to actually Ifeanyi is aligned, because if you remember what we discussed during the Obako Igbo space, we're all talking, but the idea that I got from that is that this is actually going to be a double edge, Cabo 3D. It's coming from three different directions. Advocacy for good governance is one, economy is the other one, then social development. So all these areas, I think the same people can do it. It's just that we have to be purposeful, organized, and intentional about it, collaborating. Or when they are strengthening in a particular area, when they are strengthening in the area of economy, due to Nemeka, Obiaredi, and Kalo Aja, and a lot of us here, including Casey, my guy. Or when they are strengthened in the area of social development, like Odife, our sister Uchenna Neme, or when they capable governance, they understand policy development, they understand how to hold government accountable, how to do research into what the government is doing, and then put it out there what needs to be done. So this can be done together, really. We just have to first of all commit to it. And that's why that form is up there for anybody who wants to, so that they get a discuss with you, a discuss with you. Maybe generally, but we're just supporting it as a media arm. Let's engage Alex now. Alex, I'm happy that you finally made it after going in today.
Although Nanji one like make here because I'm kind of a baggage area, so that is ever empty, but it's fine. So,
okay, your own Akabiaro. I just
my first time maybe at this airport, so I'm out of my
Okay.
way around just to check a driver there.
Okay. Okay.
Mm.
Like Kaibido, with what you do, tell us about Educare. Kaibido from there. And what got you into this?
That one story I had to Akasha, but in
Buena
summary,
and Kenke.
basically, Educare, well, we build premium software that helps manage schools processes end to end. It's more like easier with something like SAP, Salesforce, those kind of applications that manages businesses. So Educare does that for schools. So I think we practically have almost all the top private schools in Nigeria, and we have um, different countries. Then we also work with some people here in the UK, and then we are currently also working with Eton College. But though that one, then we're an arm of our product that they're using. So that's basically what we do. So we originally we started as that for schools, but we had to also extend it. Time with a lot of businesses too, more than 3,000 businesses, hospitals, supermarkets, and a lot of other people. They also use it, especially the HR and the finance bit. So that's basically what we do in Educare. I hope that is clear.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess this is what has given you insight. Mugo, while you're doing that, that has given you insight to what's going on. So tell us what's going on,
Yeah,
really,
because
from what
I
you're
work
finding
with
out.
I work with I work with everybody. Both I mean let's start it from our local space.
Schools.
I work with all the top schools and I work with also some mid-level schools. And I see the insights. It just because of data protection, you can't share some information. I know where everybody is. I know what everybody does. However, what the difference between that top quality school and the low quality school is just neglect. Because in the private schools, it's because it's a private enterprise. Of course, there's a lot more attention. In terms of infrastructural wise, the public schools are already preset. So most of the time in the infrastructure, how when we're more preset infrastructure, because of neglect, everything dilapidates and everything, you understand? Just like how many private schools can get from Wezubo football field? But almost every single public school will
Yeah.
already large football field. So the infrastructure is there. It had a interest, care, you get. And then of course the quality of teachers in the public, even in private schools are not so great. Just that it might not business enterprise, so they'll have to keep covering it up. But the quality of teachers in public schools are so bad. And I could teach at 30,000.
What do you think is the reason why the quality is low? Is it that the training system is no longer effective, or the
It's just
incentive is not strong enough?
it's just neglect. I wrote something recently this night. Before I go manager of a small company, you go through training, certification, blah blah blah. Each able president or governor, they want any training, nothing. So how are they able governance? They don't understand that. So to be a CEO of a country, of a state, there is no training required. Just motivation, but to motivation, eye service, you dey qualified. But to run a small business, and the quality of training and personnel and all those things matter. So they are not even the right people to even. The truth of the matter is that now the kind of leadership are not even the people, no matter how, even if all things being equal. I don't know if you get me. So fundamentally, Airland is very, very strong.
Mana enwe ụfọdụ n'ime anyị nwe ma ndị bụ prof ma ndị bụ
Those
doctor na ndị
prof
otu ya na
will
schools.
rubbish now. What is a professor? A professor is an academia, is a researcher. Professor ain't in the business, even with this what they call it, public service. So Professor was saying no, trying to look out for what is this new disease. How can we make this traditional medicine like standardize it so that some of these basic sicknesses, they should be looking for things. Or what about politicians na public service? That is why they always flop. It's just like if you're a doctor that is managing a hospital. Doctors are very bad in managing hospitals. When that about health management professionals, these are people carefully trained to manage. When our aircraft does not fly it, there are pilots that are trained to do that. So people need to understand when we're about specialization. I see a lot of professors, all these things are, but that is a professor. So and I always tell him that
Hello.
This sorry, Mado Bobum, I'm on airport. So can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, Ganiro.
Yeah, what I was
You were talking about your dad.
I asked him that my dad is a professor. Can you hear me?
Yes, Ganiro.
I think that my dad is a professor. And I will always tell him, I need no rubbish. Because what's the point of taking that title when you can't do the real work? You are meant to be a researcher. You understand? So that is your focus. But you people have left it trying to look for appointment. And then you people get to appointment and you people are very bad because you people are not trained to do that. You understand? So the truth of the matter is that we have a lot of wrong people in wrong places. And then the whole system, education system, is on our surface, huge neglect. So each year teaches some certain things. You just realize that forget about intention. In one other way this thing could have worked. In my someone that spoke before me said something that makes sense. When that are futurist, when they that plan, like you need to look at within the next 5 years, go to body. To be frank, Nigeria is too far. You are looking at this whole Kaimenia Catalonians. How do we want our Igbo to be? And even with that plan, we need to be just the only thing, the unfortunate thing is that if there's a way we can stop using Naira, because that currency is just too useless. Because if we can design it, this is how we want it to be in the next 5 years. And all our intentions and investment and focus is on this. I think it's going to be a lot easier for us to be able to get to where we are going to. I don't know if you get me. Just like now, I think that quality of out of school children, 18.3 million, that's the number in Nigeria. To be frank, I live body less than 1 million. But because now under that umbrella of Nigeria, you realize that the 83.3 will still affect us. You have $5,000, or be 5 to convert to an naira. You had it today. When they hear me, just give it 1 week. You've already lost more than 20% of that value. So, and all these things affect because education is expensive. So if somebody in give 20,000 pounds 20 years ago, we still charge you 20,000 pounds 20 years after. And there weren't any difference. But because you have to pay from Naira, it makes it even very difficult. Some of the equipment, some of the new technology that you need to buy, you can't buy them because Naira has made it very difficult. I don't know if you get me. So looking at all these things now, the point is these challenges are there. That is why we need to solve them. First of all, I've always talked about the quality of education. The quality of the person that teaches you and the quality of content you learn is way more important than any other thing. So it's not just about education in general. I don't know if you get me. What is the quality? And this is one of the reasons why I'm very, very particular about some of these things I talk about. My interest is really not just about education. You understand? A for apple, B is for beans. We are talking about how can we look at the globe now, critical thinking, problem solving, creative problem solving, and some of the real life application. Nigeria cannot. A is for apple. I don't know if you get me. So those teachers that used to teach it, we can rate them as good teachers. For me, those teachers are completely irrelevant. How can we
can they be upgraded?
Some of these people cannot be upgraded. Some of them can be upgraded. Okay. But the ones who can be upgraded should be quickly upgraded. But them upgrading these people also requires facility. I mean, you can't upgrade. You can't do some of these things. The time may not even require so much time, but it requires some of this investment and facility. You get just like this strike here with Eton College. A lot of Nigerians still don't understand what that thing is. You understand? I know why I took 7 months to pursue that thing, and I was very successful. And if you ever had access to that course, you understand the reason why they are called Eton College. So the point is that now we need to be able to, and one of the fastest way to drive this thing is through technology. Icheke, this Lee Kuan Yew na Singapore, if you've ever followed him very well, I've taken my time to study him. He said that for him to change education system in his country, he needed to not focus on the students. He needs to focus, not even focusing on the teacher. He needs to focus on those who train the teachers. So, which in our own case is Teacher Training Institute.
Yeah.
So, because if the quality of people who train the teachers are top notch, that means invariably the quality of teachers will be top notch. Invariably, the output of the students will be top notch. And that was how each education ranking now, Singapore is one of the best. They even higher than America and
It's
UK.
the best in Asia by far.
Yes, that was the magic he did. When I learned it in TA, you understand?
What
So
about curriculum?
No, our curriculum is completely irrelevant. You know, I've engaged with the NERDC a lot, even with the person, director of research, all those, there are plenty things. Dr. Ben, I put pressure. I just realized that they have no plan, because that's even the curriculum you are doing, I don't even understand which people were involved. Here the stakeholders, here the this, here the that. I don't even know, what are you even planning? Where is your training from? Which people are you reviewing? What are you looking at? What is the plan? I just realized I had no answer to any of these things. I gave up. As soon as I got ready, September. September na Chego. And of course, you can't just release a new curriculum like that. Yeah, because for basic education. You know, I've always talked about basic education. So this is the reason. Let's even give some quick statistics. America only had 50% of their population go to university. The UK were only 53%. But there's something that is very common. Everybody in those society went through quality basic education, no matter your background. So because from the societal point of view, quality education is very, 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 very important. It's a societal element because people should be able to read, people should be able to write, people should be able to understand and think
correctly.
That is all a society needs. Once you can get that in right, then those who want to advance their education by going to senior secondary, by going to university, which is more of research and specialization, those ones can always go. The technical schools, from after basic education, someone can say, you know what, I want to go to technical school. We should be able to have a lot of all these things. We should be able to start creating things. Governor, this thing or say picture, all these things are complete. Because when I see those things, I get really upset. Yeah, I brought the plan. The plan is how can we rapidly develop this particular place? How can we get everybody engaged? I don't know if you get me.
Yes, Alex, take a breather. Can I drag you some questions? Can let me have some other people ask you more questions? Then I'll come back and engage you, and then bring you and Uche together. Everyone will get connected because we have on tech. I hope you know Uche na onwamewu.
Uche bon startup start abi.
No, EduFon.
Okay, I'm not Uche, but I'm Amazon after this call.
Okay, Uche. Okay, but Umaka Jello, Silicon Valley, and won the competition, global competition, from Anambra State. About 6 years ago, she was the one who coached them.
Uche,
she runs a STEM hub, a STEM education hub in Anambra State, in Onitsha actually, and she's been doing a great job without funding.
Wow, interesting. Which I would like to learn more about what you are doing, so that we can see how we can work together.
No problem. Thank you.
It's all about collaborative. All right, let's take some questions. Then if I want to get a course over the problem now, but it didn't make Uche. It didn't peaceful.
I don't know peaceful. I
like it. No, I know. So I'm not here. Just now, say nonsense. God, I don't know. Hypothetically, what your job is a bro trash can fold down out here and I don't give nonsense. I like volumes to move.
Oh my kids, if you form, and I don't begging one. When you get to your home, if you the same brain on there can the bone up yet in the bone they move FIFA. Only a wee way. You know, it's annoying.
This everyone one can rate in the India and the China. But all the opportunities, global opportunities, on the Indian and the China and the Korea. Kitas in the South Africa and everywhere.
Wow.
Ha. I see some of these things are like.
I took a more piano.
Boss got piano. Those people are serious. So Akwande, those ones on our bottom, those people are serious. So you understand? Nigeria
Let's
is
come. Wow.
joking.
Okay, let's have a question from KC. KC, go for it.
Hey, Alex, you get one, madam. Okay. On a more serious note, though, achọrọ unu ihe unu na-eme na ọ dị very fundamental to ihe anyị chọrọ achieve. So, thank you so much for all you've done and what you guys continue to do. Ihe m chọrọ ịjụ bụ nnọọ in regards to ihe ị na-eme and your experience so far. Because to me, personally, I believe na skill anyway has no value if you don't put it to use.
Yes.
Right? If you don't actually derive anything out of it, then it's useless. Then what good is it? So in addition to it teaching matter skill, there's also need it teach you to say monetize the skill, how to derive value out of it. And I feel to some extent it gets lost. Even personally, from my own experience, the most people the very, very skillful, the people that were, hot, brain hot, like the very, very intelligent, at some point something got lost, even with whatever skill they had, whether it was an educational skill, whatever it is, it got lost at some point because they couldn't find a way to monetize it. So I think could be two parts. I think I do two of them. The first one, but how can we bridge this gap? Because at a good example, Bungawa, you learned the skill, you found a way to monetize that skill, and you've made a living out of it, and also changing people's life as a result. So how to bridge that gap between one, learning a skill, and then creating value, real value out of that skill, monetary value, if I may say. Then the second part, you've made mention about education and how we fail on a basic level. To you, all they know very, very important. But I also feel that family has a big role to play in the basic and fundamental education of Omaka in the buying. What role do you think parents should be playing now in this day and age? And what things should parents be doing to supplement in on the basic side? Right? So 2 questions, the role of the family to help on that educational aspect, and then how can we bridge the gap, between the skill and monetizing it to get monetary value? Because
okay, so can Kanza get the first one, then I'll now come to the second one. What creates monetary value is opportunity. And there are so many elements that can also be a trigger for that. Opportunity can also be in a matter of location bias. Just for the fact that he be a very good software engineer, she from Enugu or Lagos, can what they call it? Can actually skyrocket your career path. And if you find your way to Silicon Valley, the story will change forever. But the most important element is the skill. But trying to create a value, you are developing the skill and also trying to create a monetary value, it's usually very difficult for most people. So that is why it is important, because that's why, I was talking about, not in this conversation, trying to be able to create what they call a commonwealth, where everybody has a high potential to succeed. Another thing is basically what drives the economy up. So for those engineers, basically what we have to just do for these other people is opening them up to global opportunities. In terms of our local hemisphere, unfortunately, the opportunities to do there is very, 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 very limited. So no matter the skill you develop, because of that environment, it is limiting. So, and the people who create an environment that thrives is actually the government. It is the government being created here. 1 is security, 2 is basic infrastructure. Once they have all those things set, people can now comfortably come to a location. And where human beings exist, success exists. But wherever people are also, nothing happens. So what I can advise in the quickest way is, first of all, let them develop the skill. Then they can access opportunities anywhere. I don't know if you get me. That is in terms of normal specialized skills like engineering, pharmacy, and so many other interesting things. I don't know if that makes sense to you. But in terms of Nalib opportunities, then if you are doing something like manufacturing or spare part, if you are in Onitsha Nnewi, there are opportunities in those clusters. So even if you are not so good, because we need to also understand that location bias is something that happens. I say in a spare part in jog away, same name on people. It makes no sense. You understand? So there's opportunities that you can never access. But this same name on nature, money on that it makes sense. So the point is, how can we replicate in Newi, replicate on nature, replicate some of these things across different places, so that anywhere you are, you can now start accessing opportunities. These are one of the major jobs that government should do. They should be focusing on how to be able to make everybody thrive. In a banana, in a tomato, in a this, no matter the skill, because what people need to succeed is actually 2 hands and 2 legs, nothing else. So when you add a skill, it gives you an advantage. That is why they bring that useless person in Enugu, but the person in London, Oman the rich, but Oman the poor. So that opportunity is a little bit tricky. But the most important thing is that they should rapidly keep acquiring knowledge, so that we get to that point whereby companies are coming to Enugu, companies are coming to Anambra, because only this thing that this guy said, this CEO of Apple, he said the reason why many people are in China is, if you ask for a machine engineer in America, probably you can get just a room full of them. If you ask for it in China, you will get 3 stadiums full of it. So as a business, into those kind of high-tech manufacturing, it is wise for you to have your factory in China, because those skills you need, you get in surplus. So when we have those kind of massive skill sets concentrated in one particular place,
like a cluster.
Yes, like a cluster. Businesses will now start coming, not because they love the place, but because rather than getting just one engineer, I'm getting 3,000 engineers. So my output and productivity are they higher. So that is one trick in the China use. So rather than you train 1 people, train 1 million people. Give them the best quality, because some of these international brands, they are always looking for the best. So if we can be able to start using that as a tool, businesses will naturally start. The same thing happens within the Dublin. A lot of top IT companies are in Dublin because of that same talent concentration. So all that education, I made that thing very rapid. A lot of people with skill. As in the name, let's take it a molding. If you are 3,000 Nenugu, is it not the same Alibo Neje Togo? Apotande Madubia make POP. Because Nandi name POP na Togo is too much. And then the quality had a very high. We keep attracting them, because it's all about value. That's what attracts people anywhere. You understand? So that is why I use that word democratizing. Let 3 million people, 20 million people on Alibo with different random skills that are relevant. Everybody will start coming, even with the difficulty, and even with by then, of course, when you have that kind of level of education, insecurity will automatically disappear. Now, when it has to do with family, there are different kinds of education. We have the academics, which is the one we know. Then we have morals, we have spiritual. You get the area that family feels a lot when it has to do with moral. Your reverend father and some of these other people feels the part of spiritual, because these things are what makes you human. You understand? There's even sports. So all these things are very, 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 very important. I don't know if you get me. So
yeah.
Family, because families, sometimes equal family, under the MSLA, the quality of parents they were very, very low. Instagram, I say picture. Parents, you see parents, quality of parents they were very, 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 very bad. So you definitely see quite a few. So the parents are marrow. You can't give what you don't have. That is why they now rely more on schools. Ask every single private school owner, they will tell you this problem. Because what they do is that parents are now, they will put everything in school. In school matter. You understand? And many of the husbands are actually going unsuspecting. You understand? So the quality of parents are low. However, that still doesn't mean that they will have to still play their part, if not for anything, at the minimal, moral. Because they need to be able to morally guide their children. They need to encourage them. They need to support them. You get my point? So all these things, they have to do it. Because of the quality of parenting, it's really not that easy. That is why more job is still on teachers and schools, because they're the ones that spend the most time with these children as they are growing up. You understand? And that is what I feel. I don't know if I answered your question.
Yeah, you did. Okay, Casey, are you satisfied with his answers?
Very, very satisfied. I don't want them.
Thank you so much.
I'm going to call to in if I could now. It'll make a lot of sense, especially the one of the clusters. When one person is great at something, it's just him. When there are 25 or 50 of them in a network, everybody knows they exist. But if it's one person,
even na Lagos, why is it that Nichi Rumoto, Iburumoto bia Ladipo? Ichi Rumoto, Ichi serious Rumoto, Iburi Ichi dozi phone, Ibia Computer Village, Ichi go laptop, Ibia Computer Village. You understand?
It makes a lot of sense.
Computer Village and Azo back to back. What they did was basically creating a cluster. Rather than if for a laptop, if for 3,000 people near a laptop.
So
yes.
What I'll add to that is that I think that people who develop these skills need to learn to network, because sometimes we can wear a lot of them, but because Nafen were a way to come together, they created that cluster. People are mad Nafan it may exist, and when people come together, they multiply themselves.
Yes, that's why especially advanced countries. For instance, we conference almost every day. Conference of these professionals, conference of these in which associations, Igbo Hanaiha, Association of Welders, National Association of Welders, this and that, people now and went those kind of conversations, because that's even where they discover the new trend, the new direction, the new methodology, challenges, that kind of thing. Almost everything. So Association of English Teachers, Association of Maths Teachers, Association of this, and when all those associations, so those things get amazing on how build that ecosystem. And that was one of the things we did then 2014, 2013, now Lagos, now Yaba. We used to do that Yaba. That was how we knew most of us know ourselves now.
Yeah.
You understand? All of
you were part of that.
I was a critical part of it that time now. I know Idea Hub and I know CC Hub. Then Andela and around with some other people not around, we are building, everybody and all of us are in there maybe. So in the ecosystem, I'm so when you tell me something, I know I can call anybody, I know who to call. I know you. So everybody kind of I able to go that closed system. I then when I was Silicon Africa, then I used to host them. I think I hosted them like twice. It was like a group. We had like more than 5,000 members then. More like technology. So those kind of things helped. So but we were meeting almost every month. So different people host, different people. I know, so with his cause, future, technology, partnership, jobs, the things were just flowing back to back to back to back to back. And those moments were so lovely. You get? So it's not difficult. So these are the kind of things that we can, that's the kind of energy you could see in a creative. Even more people now, they'll start developing interest.
I think this can be created even in the Southeast. I think we should be looking at how to create this in the Southeast. Enugu, I will go one of the places already. Maybe a video from online. That's like you called it ecosystem. It was a network.
Yeah, and we won hackathon, was it like in April towards that South? That was why I even insisted I get that Southeast Educators Conference in Enugu. Then we also did that hackathon. I wanted to test out to see how the people will accept it. Surprisingly, people were super excited about those kind of things. Even people that had this, aside from my vision, when some people in Enugu Kamedugri. You understand?
Yeah.
So they had to still come say, "I'm gonna room bomb."
Alex, let me not let us go into tech so much. If I about education, I'm eventually when you talked about the role of the parents, like Casey asked you, morals, and then there's the clergy about spiritual education.
Yeah.
I don't know how much the place of the guidance and counselors that we used to have when we were in secondary schools. I don't know how much functional they are now in the schools in Igbo. Any insight to that?
Like I said, because of that neglect, we are trying to solve problem in a disjointed way. All the difficult, all the going in. The thing is, all these things have always worked, but because of neglect, everything has been watered down. You get? So in Worozi, you rarely ever see GNC, and even the GNC now, many of them they use outdated approach. Or on the Gen Z, you can call on the 20 years ago. I don't know if you get me.
And then what are young ones?
Young Guinea, or them a normal person that achieve all the camera.
This is a sorry state, but now get only if I get me with. So while we're waiting for the government, or while we're pushing and asking and demanding that the government does what they need to do, when we begin to have a group, an action group of young about development that Igbo, a good number of people that have agreed. Let's say we have that kind of emerging movement, right? What approach can we take towards education beyond what government can do?
I think that's our independent group. The first thing we need to do is this. First thing first, we need to, anything I set it up, the part one rule, look at this standing rule, there will be zero government or political influence. As in zero.
I agree completely.
There is no form of influence. Even if you are a politician that wants to be part of it, you must come as your person. It was zero. My governor or anybody, there's zero political influence. And everything must be strict. So I'm with that kind of very strict rule. Because personally, I am not interested in anything that has to do with government. I am not. You understand? Yes. Can you please wait? I'll go to that side. Okay, that's fine. You understand? So, in more of anything, so the point is that now when with that kind of thing, we can now work because we can achieve a lot in a very short time. You understand?
Okay, so, how?
No, we can achieve a lot. I mean, as independent people, we can achieve a whole lot, because one of the things we can do is this, to standardize first of all, in terms of the knowledge, the quality of knowledge I get from them, we can standardize it. And we can standardize this using technology. And then we can create very interesting incentives. I don't know if you get me.
Yes.
So if we create incentives and standardize this knowledge, then we can now provide the resources, because the first part of any change is training. You get my point? So when we can train them, I might say, okay, if not for anything, everybody with this minimum level of quality. So the next thing I need is how can we, because at the end of the day, with all the knowledge and without money, it might not be very difficult.
Ego joku.
Yes, no, we can, because we can attract. I was telling when some people know that when I London today, they form Putawa. No, see. If you people can put just also £1 every month towards just also £1, I actually more than £1. So also £1 every month. I know that any of them in the UK, no matter how stingy it is, £1 is not too much, because when they get going with £1. So if you can be able to just put £1 every month, and we have 10,000 of you supporting with £1 every month at minimum, that is a lot of investment. Every other person too, independent people, support with 200 naira, 100 naira every month. I don't know if you get me. Of course, if you have more, you can do it. To be frank with you, we can actually have almost like 200,000 pounds. You get? And you know, when you have access to these funds independently, with like radical transparency, you understand?
Yes.
And we can be able to say, what is the plan? First of all, we need to be able to get to a minimum level of quality. We develop all the resources, do everything standardized. I don't know if you get me.
Yes.
Now, how can we let these people access these resources? The next thing is, how about welfare? Because, and you know, when results are coming, more people will be more willing to support. When we can have this thing planned out, at BRS minimum, within the next 6 months, 1 year, we can be able to attain this minimal level for every single child on our Igbo. You get my point?
Yes.
We will do it. What we can even do to even make it is that now we can even develop an ID for everybody, just to be sure that we don't get too many intruders. Focus on the real people. Once you do it, you will see those kind. But That's the kind of action plan I'm feeling that will be very, very impactful after this conversation. But there will be zero political anything, or any small element of politics. I am out. You
I
understand?
mean, I agree with you completely,
I don't
but
even
in
want to
it,
discuss it.
but then I they found no one. To an extent, you will still partner with the government because they're in
You
charge of
don't
the
need
schools, right?
No,
no,
no, no,
you
no,
don't need to partner with them.
no.
You don't need to influence their normal school calendar and program. The truth of the matter is that you are the one to influence the government. So they will see what you do, they want to match you. But whatever you people are doing must be completely independent. I don't know if you get me. Even if it starts with an after-school program, but let it be independent. These are the kind of things that I think that may make sense. Because even
And
on
then,
other governments, they will now start introducing their criminality, their bureaucracy, their wrong intent, all those things. Once they come into the thing, they will kill it.
Yes.
So that is why I avoid. If you notice, everything, the kind of people that reach me, a lot of them I ignore them. Some of them I speak with them and I tell them, to just be frank with you, I respect you. I don't need you. Don't help me. I don't need anything from you. I don't even want to associate with you as a government. If you want to support anything, support your own people. Don't help me. Because you people, they're very corrupt. And you people are completely dishonest. And I tell them the way in Jigwagiao, I'm not trying to paint. You understand?
yes.
Because it pains me. There is no time. Places, the decay is happening every day.
Okay, Alex, let's take in more questions. Okenwa, go for it. Okenwa, are you ready to speak?
Yeah.
Go for it.
Ndewo ndị be anyị, ndewo. Alex, ana m ekelekwa gị maka ihe ị na-eme. Ihe m chọburu ime o nwere ntụnye ndị m chọburu ịtụnye na ihe gbasara otu a ga-esi dozigharịa usoro mmụta anyị n'ala Igbo. Alex, ihe ndị na-eme amaka, Uchenna, ihe ndị na-eme ha magbuchara onwe ha. Otu ihe m chọpụtara wụ ihe wu nsogbu anyị n'ihe gbasara usoro agụmagụ anyị n'ala Igbo bụ na ebe anyị na-ele anya na enyemaka anyị ga-esi abịa wụ n'elu na ihe ọbụla anyị ga-echi n'elu mere ya na-agbadata n'ala. Mana eche m na ihe ọbụla wụ ihe anyị nwere ike ime ịtụgharị the situation at hand n'ala Igbo ga-awụ from ala ọ dịcha ka asị anyị ga-echi n'ụlọ ezi, maka ụfọdụ mgbe anyị na-eche na anyị ga-echi n'ezi mere ya pụta n'ụlọ ya batawa n'ụlọ ya magbuo onwe ya. Ihe m ji na-ekwu ihe a bụ na Nigeria ewepụtala statistics ndị asị wụ out of school children, ụmụ ihe ndị a. Ọ tụrụ m n'anya ịnụ na enwetara ụfọdụ ndị n'ala Igbo na-anaghị aga school. So olee ihe ndị anyị nwere ike ime asị ndị Igbo? Ọ dị ka naanị at least mmadụ ole nọ na space a now anyị kpọ ya mkpa na n'ezinụlọ anyị, ọ bụgodi the nuclear or just the immediate family and then a bit extended, ka ghara inwe nwatakịrị ọbụla na-anaghị enweta basic as the child can get education. Because agala m na villages, ebi m n'ala Igbo, ebi m n'ụlọ, ahụna m n'ọtụtụ ụmụaka nke gụchara primary school, even ozugbo na-etinye isi na secondary na-ekwu okwu ka agawa school, ọ drop off from school, ọ gaghị continue school, ọ gakwanaghị ịchọ aka ọrụ ọbụla mụọ o ji abara onwe ya uru. Olee ihe nwere ike ime ya wugodi ma ị na-aga continue ịgụrụ gawa na school, ma ị na-aga ịmụ ọrụ, ma ị na-aga ịzụ ahịa, ma ị na-aga ime gịnị, bugodo ụzọ nweta the basic education. O nwere uru ọ na-aba na ndụ, ihe school scams, o nwere uru ọ na-aba at least nke wụ na ịgụrụ primary gụcha then secondary, ndị gị na ha na-aga imekọta ihe n'ụwa nwechara that basic, at least basic, even ha nwere ya nwenye ebe ọ ka mma. Olezi maka gụnwa inweta basic education, ibe gị gaa university gụnwa ga mụọ ọrụ, nsogbu adịghị. Ịga ịmụ ọrụ ma ọ bụ ịga ịzụ ahịa, ka ọ wụrụkwanụ n'ime otu esi edetu ihe n'akwụkwọ, mara otu esi agụpụtatụ ihe agụpụta, mara otu esi eche echiche. Ịma ihe ọ na-eme ụfọdụ ndị na-azụ ahịa na-awụ, ị ga-ahụ mmadụ na-azụ ahịa ọwụ big man, mana ihe ọbụla bụ ihe a na-ede onwe ihe ọ maghị ede. Business ya na-aga ọfụma, mana the way to expand rara ahụ. There are so many opportunities onye ahụ kwesịrị iteke, mana iteke ya rara ahụ. N'ihi na gịnị, o nwere ike wụrụ onye mgbe a na-aga school asị gị na ọ dropụrụ out asị gị gaa university enwere ike na ọgụcha secondary school ma nke wu ide ihe ete ma ihe onye amepe ọnụ kọrọ ị ga-ahụ na nke wu eziokwu na the basic opportunities ọ gara inweta ma ọ bụrụ na ọ mụtatụrụ otu esi ede na otu esi agụ na ihe a gbanahara ya. Ihe ọzọ m chewu the problem bụ na ihe gbasara skuul anyị na-eme ụlọ akwụkwọ anyị communities adịghịzị in charge of ụlọ akwụkwọ anyị nwe n'ụlọ ebe a. Ọ dị ka ọ bụrụ mbụ na skuul anyị nwe na vileji anyị ọ dị m ka mgbe ahụ ọ dịkwa chọọchị n'aka mana ndị obodo na-play a very key role na ihe gbasara skuul ọbụla wụ skuul nọ na community. A na-eji ya kpọrọ ihe na anya ndị obodo na-adị na skuul. O nwere ebe nke m gara ahụrụ m skuul ọbụla irutekwara ịgbafere ịhụ field ha field tojuo ka gasị na ụmụ akwụkwọ a na-aga skuul ebe ahụ. N'ogide ma na-ajụ ndị nwe kọmuniti ndị obodo ele ihe ha nọ na-eme field togide toro otu a ihe ụmụaka na-ele field a toruru otu a ha ga-echekwa na n'ụwa na ị ga-anọ sọnwa ebe ị nọ ahịhịa togide gị n'ụlọ tokwute gị tojuo a na-asụ ya asụ zinc a na-ehi mmiri a na-eche gọọmenti ka gọọmenti bịa chenji zinc ma ọ na ahụ na wọl agbawala a na-eche ka gọọmenti bịa mezie ya. A ga-anọ n'obodo kọmuniti nwere asosieshọn a na-eme mitin monthly. Nnọma na-ajụ eleghị ndị a na-aga akpa dị na mitin akpọ ya mkpa kọmuniti ọbụla akpọ ya mkpa na kọmuniti ka ị ga-ama na n'obodo onye ọbụla mara na onye we onye mara aka wa aka akpọ ya mkpa were ya kpọrọ ihe. Ị ga-ahụ na anyị lee skuul anyị hụ na skuul anyị adịghị otu o kwesịrị ịdị. Anyị akpọkọta ụmụ anyị nke wụ imide ọwụ direct nke wụ dị gị nke because ilewe anya ihe ga-awụ maka ọdịmma Igbo eri anyị ebuka imetecha ihe ga-awụ maka ọdịmma mana nwe ya nwayọọ otu a obodo nke a mepụta gaa hụ ụlọ akwụkwọ nkwe ebe mmadụ na-agakwa na-aga amụta ihe otu ebe ahụ dowere ihu na-esochakwa kọndishọn ụdị ihe onye ahụ na-amụta otu the environment dị so anyị metetụ ya gaa hụ na ihe dị iche ga-adịwa then anyị adịwa very decisive na ihe anyị adịwa very decisive anyị adịwa very decisive na ihe ndị mmadụ na-aga skuulu na-aga agụ. Ịma na some of the villages enwebeghị access to computer at all. Ihe a na-eme wụ na some of ụmụaka ndị chọrọ ime sayensị mgbe ha na-emeli ya na secondary pụta chọọ ịbanye na skuul mgbe ha ga-ele jamb sometimes ha na-enwe very low scores maka again ọ bụ na ha mụtaghị sayensị but ha enweghị access to computer so they can't perform well and if they can't perform well they miss the courses ha kwesịrị ịgụ na school. Ha miss ya mgbe ahụ onye ahụ ga-agụ ihe ọzọ and now to further it in life baa uru gaa hụ na trajectory life onye a echangeela entirely. And we should not only pay attention to ihe gbasara science, we should also think about art. Ọ dị ka enwe ndị nọ na secondary school na-ete akwụkwọ you can't even think of publishing because ọ bụrụ na mbụ a na-enwe ihe dịka asị na enwere publishing house that ndị denwere akwụkwọ can come material ha dị okay they are published. You can as a child have a global audience, have a global relevance. Anyị pay too attention to ihe gbasara this our asụsụ Igbo. Ebe nwe ya na ihe ndị a na-akụzi na school ya erutukwa na kemgbe anyị ji bekee na-agụ ịhụkwala na enwekwara otu oshi na-eme anyị mana ewelitetu ya anyị eweretu Igbo kpọrọ ihe otu esi na-eti ya na mkpu na-eti ya na mkpu ị ga-ahụ na ihe dị iche ga-adị na usoro agụmakwụkwọ anyị mee ihe ya dị very much better and accessible for ndị be anyị.
Ndewo ife ikwu na onyelu gị aka nnukwu ama akwado nnọọ ịbanye ebe anwa mana ịtụgo obere alụ so onye ọbụla amaghị ebe anyị na-eje mana ka njugodi Alex, let me ask you, I'm back to that not necessarily curriculum but let's look at it like this. Sorry, an airplane is flying over my house and there's a lot of noise in the background. I want to wait for them to pass. Okay, let me hand over the mic to Ike.
The noise about airplane or not much.
Okay. So you were talking about curriculum and how you engaged a particular person and you're waiting for him to do what he said he was going to do. I want to ask, curriculum or the binding, is it designed from the federal level and then it becomes binding on all the states? Or can the states kind of tweak their own curriculum and add some other subjects or courses and them in a school? How does it work?
And the NERDC, PAD in charge of designing the national curriculum.
Yes.
But however, once they release the national curriculum, then different schools, both private schools or even the states, like all those Akwa Subeb also and Insubeb, all those other people, they can now design some other elements to suit their own locale. You get,
Okay.
but the core national curriculum is designed by NERDC.
So NERDC gives you a foundation that you can build upon, right?
Relatively, yes. But you understand, relatively, yes. But they do it. So with that now, like I know almost every single serious private school where their own custom. So they call it like a curriculum blend. They can do British, Finnish, American, all these things, combine all these things in one. Then Nigerian too. So because of that, because at the end of the day, children will write WAEC and JAMB. So you also need to prepare them for that. Children will write IG. Children will write SAT. So all those things, you have to catch that blend. Then you also need to now add some of the things that makes you different. Maybe like the critical thinking component.
That's exactly where I was going. That's exactly because I believe in education and getting involved a lot. And it doesn't look like this nation, the national plan is evolving. So one, I wonder or the possible for the states to move forward beyond where the national plan is by adding more to their curriculum. That's the way the private schools do. The public schools.
States can move forward. Yes, there won't any limitation to that.
Okay.
You understand? They will definitely base their teaching on the state, on the national, but then they have to do some tweaking to match what they want. Because the current curriculum we have, so these are the problems. First, the method it uses is role learning approach. The role learning approach, what it is it helps people to be able to cram, to write exam, and then to forget. So the la cram la pour la forget is
you called it role learning. Okay.
Yeah, so the modern way curriculums they use the critical thinking, real life problem solving, real life application, creativity, because
team bonding.
All these things are elements. But what it does is this: you don't train children who prepare to pass exam. You train children who are inspired by whatever you teach, who understands whatever you teach, who can apply whatever you teach, and you can use those applications to make the society better. So, and then, just like the best form of curriculum go so far, but IB, the International Baccalaureate, their course rigor. So, for you to get admission even to MIT and some of these Ivy Leagues, one of their big priorities is course rigor. You understand how engaging, how deep is your curriculum. So that's why IB then went like the highest rating. IB is expensive. IB then work like a high priority. Now admission to any Ivy League or any top school in the world. You get my point. So because people made that program are much more prepared for the outside world. You understand?
Okay.
You're already doing research. So these are the with that blend. Is at that point Nigerian children can now even start competing. So this is the beautiful part of it. Once we get that thing right, Nigerians will start thinking. Things will start changing. You understand? So the children I'm ambusing the guys say, yes, I am a male, follow. No, you will start getting children who can now ask questions. About inquiry-based learning, they can now ask questions. They can be confident. They will not be afraid. You understand?
Yes.
So these are the kind of things. So this is how those kind of curriculums change society. If you see a lot of curious children, curiosity are not built. And curiosity is the foundation of invention.
Yes.
Because a non-curious child cannot invent. So you probably start seeing a lot more scientists come from Nigeria because of this tweak. You understand? Because children will now start questioning everything. They can now realize that they actually have freedom. Because our current curriculum doesn't give you freedom. It mandates you to learn what has been given to you, to cram it enough, and to deliver it in the exam. Yes. That is basically the implication. So, and any country that practices it is still underdeveloped.
Absolutely. Let me go to Uche. Uchenna, regarding if I know now about tweaking the curriculum, I want to introduce something to that. I don't believe the Chinese learn coding in English. They learn it in Chinese. How do we introduce our natural, I would like to use the word natural, our natural language, our native language into technology education? Or we'll go moves towards tweaking that or evolving into that, introducing our natural language into tech education, even in coding and all of that.
Hi. Okay, Mr. Alex, you've really engaged us, and I think me, I'm the. I try to take it quiet, but you are hitting it the way it is, which is good. So let me come to this. Ọ na-adịkwanụ mma ịgwa nwaanyị eziokwu ịghọta gbasara language and everything. While we are failing in education, most of us parents have also failed in speaking our language to our children. I think some people in the US or other out of Igbo land make more effort than some of us in the Igbo land, where you are trying to speak to a child. I know burial very soon, just last week, and all the children in the compound, or just one set of
I don't know if
us.
I'm the only person who can't hear her clearly anymore.
I can hear her clearly.
We're wearing her clearly. She's good.
Okay.
Go on.
So now Igbo. So we are in the village, and now the children are
Uche, hold on.
English.
Uche, hold on if you don't mind. Hold on. I don't know if I'm the only person who can't hear you clearly. Casey, can you hear her clearly?
I
think we can all hear her. Chuka. She's clear to us.
Yeah, I can hear her.
Wow, I think it's from my end because even you, I can't hear you clearly. Okay, Yaganiru. Casey, take over. Yaganiru. Let me fix my end.
Okay. So, back from the house, I fail go in speaking Igbo to our children. And I would say I'm also part of that system where half of my children are Igbo, half Adaso. And I'm not proud of it. So that we should go back to our home to start speaking Igbo language to our children. I know in our own time, na Igbo. But I don't know what is happening. Even the school system, curriculum, so even at school, the school has made it that now, and the school has no parents, which is true because I am questioning as so technology and yes, there are so many people making efforts to make sure that we don't lose our tongue. I am also making that conscious effort. That is why I start to blame myself before I speak out that I also failed in some part of it. While right now I've employed Igbo teachers to stay home, and before you get anything from me, you have to speak Igbo and we have to read the Igbo Bible because I didn't start on time. So we have to trace it back to ourselves and make conscious efforts in the school to start implementing Igbo. More, I don't know what I can write in Igbo in technology because also I am not preparing it only for the Igbo consumers. My product is also going to be for nationwide and international wide. So it's going to remain in English. So yes, it is possible. But Alex should be able to say this is highly possible more because Yamaka were a very big product that is out there. But yes, it is possible, 19 years. But I will be very, very honest. While we are putting eyes on that, it is also not a priority right now. It should be part of the plan, but not like there are foundations of things we need to do to also catch up with others in education. But this should be a foundation. It's not something we should be negotiating. It should be a foundation.
I completely agree on your thoughts. I completely agree with you on this.
Yeah, thank you so much. Nsubadro, I think you've made so much sense. Just again to remind all of us, in here about the money show. Money stands for Makodi Mandibo, or an opportunity for us to have conversations that will drive our people forward and I'll move us forward in terms of ideas, goals, aspiration, how to achieve as Igbo people collectively. Because all dimpa, especially in this day and age. So we host this every Saturday, 8 p.m. Nigeria time. I know back on our time now, and we share ideas and talk about things that are important and concerns us. So we've been asking for more females to come on the space to speak up. So I think we've added a few people. So can I pass the mic around and ask some questions. And so I'll pass the mic to Chinwe. Chinwe, if you're available, you have the mic. Please, Biko, speak. Chinwe, are you there?
Is it Chinwe Namoto? Yes. Is that Chinwe Namoto?
Yes, please go ahead, my dear.
Well, that will be my first time of actually joining this program. I don't know much about it, so I'm like trying to learn. But I've been following is it Alex Onya also, because I've been seeing some of his writes up around the University of Nigeria. I happen to be a lecturer here,
On
University of
the
Nigeria.
lecturer,
And
election. I not the lecturer.
so I was very happy. In fact, I've been very, very happy because for me, Afomo, he has, he got go get help in alive. Just like part of here at type when somebody was saying the number of out of school children, and I was like, part of here I could see the email. Ihe informal child fostering system. That's ịkpọnye mmadụ nwa maybe ka ọ zụọ. So kuna part of ihe mee na ụfọdụ ụmụaka anyị ada aga school. And I think that this is for me as a person, this is something that I feel that anyị kwesịkwuru itinye anya. But like I said before, I cannot I'm not much about this. So always so many things. And in fact, I called my friend and I told her, like, this is what is happening. That this is my first time of joining. Chinya is also, and then she is also a lecturer here in the UN. I was okay, and I should help her join. See, but just join. So I want to listen to first because I'm not much about it. So I think I'm here to learn for now. Thank you.
So, Badro, you're welcome. It's again an opportunity for us to have conversations today important. So your voice is important as well as every other person that chime in. So let's move on. Let's bring someone else. So Ogu, I think you've been on here for a while, so you have the mic. Biko, go on.
Yeah. Thank you so much, sir. God bless you so much, sir. This thing we are talking now, I'm a victim. I would say I'm a victim of it, and also I learned from it too, because growing up, I was so technically inclined. Those days we have GTC. I don't know whether they are still all this government technical college now again. But I schooled in a secondary school, St. Patrick. So, but in Enugu State, I'll go to GTC and look at their lab, see things there, and I'll be, I'll be keen to learn. But I didn't have that opportunity. But now there's something you raise, like, can't we set up like all these tech hubs, maybe tech hubs, maybe in different states? At least let's start from, even if it's one or two in a state, whereby these young talents can come and they groom them. Let a kind of train the trainer kind of system. Just so turn them when they jam my hair, mucha hair set log, if you don't get it, what under you we can replicate that in the area of all this tech stuff, whereby the umuaka Igbo, we learn new things. Our curriculum is just messed up. We are learning things that are dated. But here are going to school now. Some people are just going to school to just get that certificate for bragging rights. We can't even contribute to the society. We cannot even make an impact. How many of our professors or whatever can say, okay, I'm the one that invented this thing or something? So we are just carrying paper all around. At times I'll just look at, there's one program already I used to listen that the man said that when you look at the best surgeon in the world, they are from Nigeria. When you look at the best doctor, they are from, but you don't find them in Nigeria. I getting it. So our environment is not enabling at all. Last protest, some of you may see my video, I went viral. About my son that is 13 years, that is a programmer. He was self-taught at home. Computer school. At home, I bought laptop to learn this forest trading. This one thing leka maka. And say, okay, can do say the laptop, how worry am work I type here on a laptop. But this guy, before I know, he went to my neighbor that is into IT. The guy taught him few things. He came home here saying, no, we have download na laptop scratch. And started programming. They don't play game on phone anymore. They create their own game, transfer it to the phone and play it. You know? So, and that thing made me to come out doing that last protest in Ojota. That I rather die on the street than watch my son, talent waste. Okay, at age of 9, 10, my nickname be engineer when I don't even know the meaning of engineer. I rode this motor with those tape cassettes those days and tear the motor, tear the battery. In fact, I don't even till today. If you tell me how do you get this ingenuity to construct this car whereby it will be operated with the battery and so on, at age of 9, 10, I was doing those things. But Nigeria happened to me today. I'm a sales rep just to put food on the table for my family. It's not that is what I wanted to go into. And that is why when I see my son going in this line, in fact, I tell God that anything it will take me legally for me to make sure that this guy achieve his goal so that he will not be like me, I will do it. And that's why I came out for that protest that last time. So please, if we can set up hub centers, tech hub centers, where we'll be training these guys, train the trainer, or they can there. Let them come and learn these techs, IT. I have to go the age of all these local things and I'm on a school. Let's learn new things and move with the world. Thank you so much. I won't say much. Let me just listen and learn more. Thank you so much, sir.
No, I want them, Dalo. This is very, very inspiring. And all part of the things I know here, this evening. A lot of it is dependent too on the parents. Need the intentional. Can he what is the value of what you're teaching them? Because they have the brains, they're smart, they can pick it up, or just it is ready. So I think question now or comment, I'll probably channel it to Alex too, because I think it's important that if there's anything better than having one Alex or one Uchenna, is having two, is having three, is having four, is having as many more as we can.
Yes, let's replicate him. Let's replicate Alex in many other people.
Yeah. So
it must not be one Alex.
Yeah. So Alex, what are your
Alex
thoughts? How
is
can
done,
we
I would
amplify?
like to contribute to.
Yes. Oh, sorry. I'll ask Alex and I'll come back to you with the same question, Uchenna. But Alex, how do you think we can amplify, what you've seen now, especially on a much broader scale, Nabanye? What are some of the ideas and strategies we can implement?
Okay, so we're going to have like a short-term strategy and a long-term strategy. So first thing is this. I think the first quick goal that we should be able to achieve is making sure that now every single child, non-Igbo, Gagana school. Every single child, more importantly, basic education. Every single child Naga school. That is one. Secondly, if we're able to get them to school. Secondly, what are they learning? Thirdly, how can we get scout for opportunities? In short, ask him within the next 3 weeks. That's why I'm talking to you now. I just went to Frankfurt. From here, I got like almost four or five, or like 5 or 6 countries within the next 3 weeks. But what I want to achieve is I'm trying to observe different places. I'm trying to discuss different places. I'm trying to see how we can, because one is to educate people, two is to get opportunities for them. I'm trying to engage a lot of things. How can we access opportunity? One of the areas go very easily, which of course we've seen so far, is on the remote work, especially for engineers. But the only problem I have now, there's a lot of low quality engineers that actually come from Nigeria. So how can we have this, standardize this minimum level of quality, so that rather than he gets people from Philippines gains more than $5 billion every year from online tech works. So if we can be able to take it from Philippines, Bangladesh, some of these people that are competing with us, let's even start having a lot of people. We're not going to choose quality people on tech. The easiest one, let them even come to Nigeria, so that we'll have a lot of opportunities. And all these things I'm doing now I'm zero interested in anything that has to do with profit. But we need a lot of people who can also look at it from that part. I'm saying, how can we make money? I don't want to make money. I'm looking at it in the point of how can we rapidly get opportunities available for these people. Secondly, but we need to first of all, we could go to everybody in our street, everybody at our school. Then let's now look at what they are learning. Then we need to now create programs whereby we can highly incentivize teachers. And we know that the fundamental problems are solved. When we solve it, there are specializations, like people that go into some other things. You understand? Because once we get everybody out of the street, what we can guarantee is that, because education can erupt to a lot of things. Look at it from the area of security. The most vulnerable people, Bunditi. Ndema, very brilliant people, serious people who have actually had. It's not like they cannot also be vulnerable, but the percentage of them are very, very minimal. So if you can get people out, Hanchaba school, Anaba school, that is agenda. Second one, but let's look at their content. Let's try to put these elements in there. You understand? And also still add the Nigerian component. If you can be able to get it, democratize it, then opportunities. So once all these things are coming hand in hand, the incentives, the inspiration, and the interest to education will be growing very fast. I don't know if you get me. So, and all these things is part of the things I think we should look at so that our conversations can be practicable. And we can break it into subsections. We can say, okay, maybe attacking it from the holistic point may be quite cumbersome. Let's even start from Abakaliki or a particular small part of Abakaliki. Let's even achieve this. Kamagodi take it. Kamagodi, how many children never? No child in this small part of Ezambo will be out. Everybody must go to school. You understand? So all these things can be some systematic efforts. Within 6 months, 1 year, you should be able to achieve a high result. I am that there is progress. Because if we are coming to have this conversation again, when we started, let's say for instance, 4 million children out of school. And this time around, I get to go this 4 million out of school children. I want to go like 3.4 million back to school. And we already have 600,000 still out of school. What can we do? This becomes a very progressive and interesting conversation. We know that the quality may still be a problem, but let these people go to school, because when you go to school, the better than when you go at all. No matter how bad and outdated the curriculum is, this curriculum is still what made me and you. So it's bad, yes, but it can also be, it's better than not going at all. So if we say this, and then the next 6 months, we are also working on getting these people, then the question is, we already have 3.4 million back to school. What are they learning? How can we infuse these things? You understand? What are the partnerships we can do? This is where we can start getting these things. One area I know that they will lack is technology. How can we also see, even if we cannot provide across, how can we start having like a centralized technology, more like digital learning centers across different zones where people can access freely? You understand? How can we start maybe within the next 6 months, can I go like 2,000 pieces of Starlink hardware, put it at different place with solar? Or within the next 5 years, that can be the plan. And if you can achieve this, connectivity will be common. More people will have access to knowledge, because I've always said the largest digital learning platform in the world is YouTube, and it's free and available. So people can also have access to a lot of these things with, of course, parental guide and protection. You get my point? So once we can have these plans and we are rolling it out bit by bit by bit, before you know what is happening, we can close that gaps, because it can be bad when you are doing tech. At the end of the day, people that leave, people napping at school. As in the mother now, you hardly ever see them again. So many of all these things keep getting worse. You get my point? So I see that kind of systematic draw like a map. You understand? Follow that map. Just like even what we did in my community. It's not like Marona, the primary schools and all these things they bad. We knew, we said, okay, let's first of all execute the short-term plan. Omaka ga pass school next year. More than 70% are that go jump. What shall we do? Should we ignore them and let them not enter school again so that we keep creating that gap? Or should we quickly solve this one as we are also solving the other one? You understand?
Yeah.
That was why we said, let's do that jump. And we did that jump, we hit it hard and we got it. You understand? So we are now doing a lot of things I never even on the ground, we are still building up. You understand? But that one, a template on how we can always replicate. Or I sort of go this one. Let's look at this one. Let's look at this one. Let's look at this one. You understand? So, yeah, part of the things that we can do. So I made that short-term approach. As we are succeeding, we are looking at more things. We are looking at more things. Trust me, we will fix this problem. You get? But if we pick it from random areas, I did too random in approach, we will find it very difficult to make progress. We will share very beautiful ideas. We will still come back again with no impact. I don't know if you help me. Those are my
absolutely.
thoughts.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. No, thank you. And I like people know how practical the suggestions today. Things that are measurable, things that are actionable, you can do them. And Uche, I want to quickly bring you in because I'm now. You wanted to chime in initially, so please go ahead, my dear.
Okay. Let me speak from experience, or let me speak from getting it done. Just like Alex said, when they say out of school children, there are so many out of school children and adults, not only children. There are so many adults that are also out of school. But I have thought about what are the practical ways, just like you said, in their village, there were 87%, and they worked on that 87%. So this might look like a drop in the ocean, but it is better that we have a drop, and that will start filling up the gaps. I've always said this. Where we have this gap, like this man that said he has a talented son, where is that child coming from? Maybe from GTC or from the village, and you have some people picking that child from that secondary school to university. I've said this before. If we will go back to the grassroots, first of all, the village, the community, the state, and pick out those children that we can use as a pilot.
It's the morning show.